Chapter 2234. Why did the flame lizard's expression change? That was because he did not have a clone. He had relied on his talent and environment to cultivate to the tribulation of the seven emperors. However, his combat power was supported by his talent, so he did not have any inheritance. Naturally, his clone did not cultivate. However, the appearance of Knight Soro's clone was equivalent to doubling his combat power. Knight Soro's main body and clone used different combat skills of different attributes, causing the flame lizard to fall into a passive state. Due to the different nature of their attacks, his defense was not targeted. After defending against the primordial destruction slash, Knight Soro's reincarnation True Dragon art broke through his defense. Passive. The flame lizard's cultivation level was higher than Knight Soro's, but under the powerful attacks of Knight Soro's main body and clone, he fell into a passive state. What made him suffer the most was that Knight Soro's strength was too strong. Every attack would push him back, hindering his follow-up attacks. To be able to release combat power that exceeds his own cultivation level, this is a combat genius, the Heavenly Concubine said. The Heavenly Concubine said, in the past years, she had seen too many cultivators, but none of them could fight like Yishan. It should be known that a difference of one level in cultivation was a difference of one level. Especially for high-level cultivators, the difference of one level was huge. However, Knight Soro had achieved a high-intensity battle with a higher level. Moreover, after his clone joined the battle, he was not at a disadvantage. The flame lizard was furious. Knight Soro's cultivation level was 3 levels lower than his. He did not understand how Knight Soro could suppress his combat power. The power suppression made him feel even more uncomfortable. After every collision, his attacks would pause. Merit Primordial Dao Domain, Merit Reincarnation Dao Domain. As the battle raged on, Knight Soro's main body and his avatar unleashed a domain reinforced by the power of virtue, once again consolidating their advantage. How dare you boast so shamelessly? Seeing that the flame lizard's attacks were suppressed by Knight Soro's Dao, domain, and strength, and could no longer release energy that exceeded the tribulation of the seven emperors' cultivation level and trigger the repulsive force, the Heavenly Concubine attacked again. Together with Knight Soro, they began to attack the flame lizard. Ignoring the fact that the flame lizard could expel her from the world of trees, the Heavenly Concubine's fighting strength was displayed. In terms of battle techniques and battle experience, the 10 flame lizards could not compare to Heavenly Concubine. Knight Soro was suppressing Heavenly Concubine. Heavenly Concubine's sword chi kept cutting the flame lizards' bodies. It started to destroy the insides of the flame lizards. Human Emperor's Seal. In order to completely suppress the flame lizard, Knight Soro activated the Human Emperor's Seal and increased the suppression on the flame lizard. The flame lizard, which had already been suppressed and heavily injured by the Heavenly Concubine, could no longer hold on. Its speed and attack power had dropped to an extreme, and it could only passively take a beating. After an hour, Yi Shang and the Heavenly Concubine worked together to destroy the flame lizard. Normally, it wouldn't take this long because the flame lizard's soul was too condensed. After destroying the flame lizard's body, Yi Shang and the Heavenly Concubine worked together to attack for a while before destroying the flame lizard's soul. Heavenly Concubine pointed at the nurturing spirit grass in the distance and said, "Very powerful. He doesn't have any cultivation inheritance, soul techniques, or clones. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for us to kill him. The reason is that nurturing spirit grass. His soul is extremely tough. Other cultivators can't compare to it. The nurturing spirit grass is definitely a top treasure, and now it's ours. Danger comes with opportunity. This saying is true." Knight Soro got up and walked towards the nurturing spirit grass. Heavenly Concubine and Wu Lingfei followed behind Knight Soro. First Hair Wu Lingfei could no longer fight against a high-level Emperor Tribulation cultivator. She had not reached the Emperor Tribulation level, so she was too weak in front of a cultivator like the 7 Emperor Tribulation. A single attack from a high-level Emperor Tribulation cultivator could heavily injure or even kill her. Under such circumstances, Wu Lingfei would feel unnatural and uncomfortable if she was with someone else. However, she wouldn't feel that way when she was with Night Sorrow, because she and Night Sorrow were extremely close relatives. Relatives didn't need to care about these things. Caring about it would be unreasonable. Night Sorrow looked at Heavenly Concubine and asked, "My spatial world's condition is not bad. I wonder if I can take the nurturing spirit grass away. If I can, it will be very convenient. We can use it whenever we want." Heavenly Concubine looked at Heavenly Concubine and said, "The survival and growth of spirit herbs depends on the environment. Your Haotian pagoda is not bad. If you make a floor just to store the nurturing spirit grass, it might be possible. However, we need to understand the nurturing spirit grass." Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, she felt that Night Sorrow's idea was good, but she didn't think about it that way. Night Sorrow and the other two looked around the nurturing spirit grass and didn't find anything special. Wu Lingfei said, "The nurturing spirit grass living environment must have world power first. Also, there must be some secret underground. The flame lizard came from underground. He must have been cultivating underground." Night Sorrow nodded. Since they didn't find anything around the nurturing spirit grass, Night Sorrow had some ideas. He had the same idea as Wu Lingfei. When they arrived at where the flame lizard had come from, Night Sorrow led Heavenly Concubine and Wu Ling Concubine in. It was a hole filled with broken rocks. The hole didn't originally exist, but it was created when the flame lizard ambushed the three of them. After advancing for less than 200 feet, the three of them found a stone cave at the bottom. Inside the stone cave, there was a milky white stone pillar. Night Sorrow turned around and asked Heavenly Concubine, "What is this? It's not like I know everything. I've never seen this thing before, but it's definitely a treasure. Its aura is very similar to the soul raising grass. It should be the main reason why the soul raising grass is produced. Put this thing into your spatial treasure. You're the realm lord of the 9 regions world. Put some origin energy into your spatial treasure. Then, the soul-raising grass will have the conditions to grow. At most, you can put in some spirit stones to maintain the density of spirit energy." Night Sorrow studied the milky white stone pillar that emitted a gentle light. He felt very comfortable. It was a comfort that came from the depths of his soul. Night Sorrow said, "Heavenly Concubine, I will use the clear sky pagoda to store the stone pillar. Use your energy to prevent the ground from collapsing. Then I will go and cultivate the nurturing spirit grass. When we return to the 9-domain world, I will move them to the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Let's not talk about the value of the nurturing spirit grass. At the very least, we can create a top-notch cultivation environment." Heavenly Concubine nodded and said, "Okay, but slow down. The stone pillar is very long. Don't damage it." Yishang had Wu Lingfei move to the side. His avatar appeared with his main body. His 4 arms slowly pulled the stone pillar out. When the base of the stone pillar appeared, Yishang slowly moved back in the direction he had come from and slowly pulled the stone pillar out. Night Sorrow's movements were very slow. He was afraid of damaging the top and destroying the nurturing spirit grass. Chapter 2235. It's simply a beast. Its power is too frightening. Fortunately, the cave is fine. I use my energy to compress it so it won't collapse. We can go to the surface to collect the soul-nurturing grass, said the Heavenly Concubine. Night Sorrow nodded and left the cave with the Heavenly Concubine and Wu Lingfei. The three of them looked around the green patch where the soul-nurturing grass was and used their soul powers to investigate the ground. The roots of the soul-nurturing grass aren't deep. I'll use my sword energy to cut the ground and use my soul power to lift it up. You can put it into the clear sky pagoda. This way, the soil structure won't be damaged, said the Heavenly Concubine after investigating. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew this was the best method. After choosing a location, the Heavenly Concubine pulled out her sword and stabbed it into the ground. Sword energy burst out and cut the ground where the soul-nurturing grass was. Then her soul power lifted it up. At this time, Night Sorrow's soul power burst out and moved the ground into the clear sky pagoda. It was placed on the same floor as the stone pillar. Then he placed some spirit stones and the 9-region origin bead on this floor. The 9 regions origin bead was Night Sorrow's soul-protecting treasure. Even if it was placed inside the clear heaven pagoda, it wouldn't affect him. When he needed it, he just needed to use his soul force to guide it back to his divine sea. After everything was done, Night Sorrow also moved the heavenly concubine and Wu Lingfei to this floor of the clear sky pagoda. Very good. The two of you are very careful. The area where the soul-nurturing grass grows hasn't changed. The stone pillar is still there, and the origin energy is still there, said Wu Lingfei after looking around. Let them grow naturally. When needed to refine pills, just collect them. Night Sorrow nodded. With a forest in hand, there's no need to worry about firewood. The heavenly concubine smiled. She knew this was a great harvest. It belongs to all of us. It's just temporarily with me. If you two need it, come and get it from me, said Night Sorrow. The heavenly concubine and Wu Lingfei nodded. The soul-nurturing grass was beneficial to the soul. They really needed it, or rather, all cultivators needed it. After looking around and feeling that there were no problems, Night Sorrow and the other two went to the living area of the clear sky pagoda. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. This mission was very difficult, but the harvest was also great. Everything was worth it. In UZRX, we are getting closer and closer to the world tree. There are more opportunities, but at the same time, there are more dangers. We have met a few tribulation of the 7 emperors. If there are more powerful opponents, they will be a threat to us. Night Sorrow, if I'm forced to fight at full strength and get kicked out, I'll take you guys out with me. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. She was greeting Night Sorrow. She knew that Night Sorrow was a stubborn person who wouldn't back down in the face of danger. However, she didn't want to see such a scene. Heavenly Concubine, help me take care of my Aunt Faye. Don't worry about me. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, I know you have dreams and ambitions, but you have to know that you can only do things if you are alive. You have to avoid danger if you can. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and shook her head. I've thought about it. If it doesn't work out, I'll just run. Given the strength and speed of my body, if I avoid the battle, given Imo Zhantian's cultivation base, he won't be able to kill me quickly. I'll have time to run. I remember the way here. Night Sorrow smiled. Heavenly Concubine sighed. She knew that Night Sorrow would have such thoughts. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth to say something, but she didn't say anything. She was worried about Night Sorrow, like Heavenly Concubine, but she also understood Night Sorrow's character. After resting for a while, the three continued forward. Heavenly Concubine raised her soul power to the maximum. This way, she could detect danger in advance. A year passed, and Night Sorrow's group was getting closer to the World Tree's true body. Looking up, Night Sorrow saw 3 spatial wavy lines in the hazy space. This meant that after 3 more spatial worlds, they would arrive at the world where the World Tree's true body was. That would be the most crucial moment of this operation. Night Sorrow, how many worlds have we passed? Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I don't remember clearly. If not 1,000, it should be at least 800. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, I remember it's 996. After these 3 wavy lines, there will be 999 spatial worlds. Wu Lingfei was a meticulous person. She remembered some things very clearly. The 1,000 worlds defensive body, including the world where the world tree is, there are exactly 1,000 worlds. This defensive technique of hers is called the 1,000 Worlds Defensive Body. It is recorded in the Demon Wing clan. An ancestor of the Demon Wing clan once experienced this. He cultivated the 100 Worlds True Body. He was the leader of the Demon Wing clan when they attacked the Celestial Realm. He was invincible at that time. After he died, the Celestial Realm's 100 races were revived. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, that means he had a heaven-defying achievement in the way of space. It doesn't matter if he was an outsider or not. This is admirable, Night Sorrow said. Yes, He didn't have a forbidden element. He had the void and space elements. He was also the world master of a world. He could control the power of origin, so he had a great achievement in this area. The Demon Wing clan had sealed that book for a long time, but no one had been able to cultivate it. Heavenly Concubine explained to Night Sorrow. Elements don't match. Without talent in this area, it will be very difficult to achieve anything, Wu Lingfei said. It's like this. We still have 3 more worlds to go through. We have to be careful. The first few worlds weren't easy for us. Night Sorrow looked at the 3 wavy lines in front of him. In fact, this was the case. In this 1 year, Yi Shang and the others had experienced too many things. Night Sorrow had been severely injured several times. The most serious injury was when his avatar's left arm was cut off and his main body's chest was pierced through. Just imagine how strong his opponent was if he suffered such injuries despite his strong body. Night Sorrow, now I can use the power of the 8th Emperor Tribulation. You don't have to fight too hard. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. She had never admired anyone, but she was completely impressed by Night Sorrow's strength and tenacity. I will. Remember, if there is a problem, take Aunt Fei and retreat first. Night Sorrow said to Heavenly Concubine again. Heavenly Concubine nodded. She understood Night Sorrow's determination. At this time, in Tianwang City, Wu Lingfei, Tran Heng, and King Yawu were talking about the current situation. We didn't do much, so Night Sorrow had to bear too much. King Yawu sighed. He felt a little guilty because he didn't take good care of Night Sorrow. He was his junior brother's only disciple. Chapter 2236. Everyone knows Night Sorrow's temper. He's not someone who gives up easily, said Wu Lingfei. Tran Heng shook his head helplessly. How could he not know Night Sorrow's character? It was difficult when he was exiled, and it was difficult when he intercepted Mo Tianji, but Night Sorrow had persevered. He had never given up. Faith. He has an incomparably firm faith in his heart, said the Grand Elder. I will tell him about the 3 seniors concerned, said Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow brought the Heavenly Concubine and Wu Lingfei into Sumeru World. There was no difference between space and world in the concept of ordinary cultivators, but in reality, there was a big difference. Only something that was strong, had a certain area, and had a certain degree of maturity could be called a world. If the laws were not perfect and had not been created for a long time, it could only be called a space. Night Sorrow's group had entered the spatial wavy lines in the beginning. The spatial world they entered was a layer of space. Now, the last 3 lines were world lines, and they contained worlds. After advancing for a while, life forms appeared. It was not a single demon beast, but a complex group of many races. This was also a symbol of a world. The weak cultivators did not dare to approach Yishang's group. Since there was no one blocking their path, Yishang's group continued forward. If there was anyone blocking their path, then sorry, Yishang's group would directly kill them. If we take the world tree back, her living space will need a lot of space, said Wu Lingfei as they flew. We've advanced for a long time, but in reality, we've always been in Sumeru World. The world tree's area is only 10,000 miles wide. We can only see some energy shadows outside. The Thousand Realms whirling defense she set up is also 10,000 miles wide. The Celestial Realm's large cities and the 9-domain world's large cities are far beyond this area. Let's talk about the 9-domain city. Night Sorrow, how big is the 9-domain city now? Asked the Heavenly Concubine. In the past, it wasn't that big. However, as the 9 Realms world's level continued to rise, and the cultivators of the 9 Realms world used 9 Realms City as the core of their development, 9 Realms City's surface area increased by a great deal. The land now extends deep into the Realm Sea. It's at least 1,000,000 kilometers wide, Yishang said after a moment of thought. Wu Lingfei nodded and said, That's not a problem. Let's study how to approach it first. As he advanced, Yishang could feel his own improvement. It was the improvement of his soul power. He moved the soul-raising grass into the clear sky pagoda and put it in the 9-domain world's origin bead and spirit stones. The soul-raising grass environment didn't weaken, it was growing stronger. It emitted a gentle energy. The soul was a fundamental nourished, was a nourished, was nourished, was a nourished, was nourished, was a nourished, was a fundamental nourished. Night Sorrow's soul was a nourished nourishment at the fundamental level. The nourishment was soul's nourished is. This situation gave Yishang some hope. His body had already been cultivated very well. In the future, he would just have to let nature take its course. In the heavenly concubine's words, when his cultivation reached the 6 Emperor Tribulation and 7 Emperor Tribulation, he would be unparalleled in the world. When he cultivated to the 9 Emperor Tribulation, his body would have an advantage over any other cultivator since ancient times. Another factor related to whether or not one could successfully pass the God-slaying tribulation was the strength of the soul. Night Sorrow's soul power was more than 1/3 of a cultivator at the same level in terms of quantity. It was perfect and flawless. If it was strengthened by the soul raising grass, his chances would be even greater. The heavenly concubine had measured the flame lizard's soul power. It was comparable to the 9 Emperor Tribulation. It might even be better. Of course, it was only the power of the soul power. The size of the spiritual nascent bead was still at the 7 Emperor Tribulation level. If it was the 9 Emperor Tribulation's cultivation and the power of the soul power, it would be incredible. Now that he had the soul raising grass, Night Sorrow had the same conditions as the flame lizard to cultivate his soul power. His future was very good. Because the 3 of them had obtained the soul raising grass together, Night Sorrow explained the effects of the soul raising grass to the heavenly concubine and Wu Ling Fei. We're just following you. The main battles and problems were all solved by you. If there are any benefits, we'll just stick to you. When the battle isn't urgent, we'll just go into the space where the soul raising grass is to cultivate. The heavenly concubine expressed her attitude first. Yes, you can make the decision. Wu Ling Fei didn't care about it either. I've always heard that in the group of cultivators, there were fights between family members. I don't think that's the case, Night Sorrow said. You're wrong. Not everyone is open-minded. When they encounter some heaven-defying treasures, they want to take it all for themselves or split it unequally. Then there will be disputes. Take this soul-raising grass, for example. Any one of it will cause cultivators to fight over it. The heavenly concubine shook her head. She didn't quite agree with Night Sorrow's view. Night Sorrow had a kind heart and looked at everything in a good direction. However, in reality, there were many narrow-minded and dark cultivators everywhere. All right, you win, but don't think of everyone as bad. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You're right. At least the people around you are open-minded. Perhaps this is the proof of the saying, one is marked by the company one keeps. The heavenly concubine nodded. She had seen many people around Night Sorrow and had some understanding of them. People with bad character and temperament won't be able to enter this circle. Even if they were in this circle before, their character will slowly fade away. Wu Ling Fei said. Hearing Wu Ling Fei's words, Night Sorrow thought of some people. The first one was Lin Jingyi. He used to think that Lin Jingyi was a good person, but as time passed, some of her weaknesses appeared. This was something he couldn't accept, so he wouldn't have any interactions with her. As they advanced, Night Sorrow's doppelganger scouted ahead. However, it had to be within the range of the main body's soul power. Otherwise, it would be expelled. Battles occurred from time to time, but they were all settled by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, your soul power has increased as well? After seeing Night Sorrow use Soul Destruction Slash to destroy an evil cultivator's spirit sea, the heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow. She naturally noticed the changes in Night Sorrow's soul power. This is the effect of the soul nurturing grass. The effect is quite good, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, you've worked hard enough. As you work harder, your path will become smoother and smoother. The heavens reward the diligent, and the heavens don't bully people. The heavenly concubine said, yes, the harder you work, the luckier you will be. Hard work is an attitude. It's an attitude and awareness that all cultivators should have. Night Sorrow agreed with the heavenly concubine. I hope this trip goes smoothly. Then, As long as we protect the celestial realm and the nine regions world, the future will be stable. Wu Lingfei said. Chapter 2237. Is it very powerful? Night Sorrow looked at the heavenly concubine. It's a very simple question. The world tree is the spirit of the heavenly way. It is very mysterious and can use the power of the heavenly way and origin energy. If it attacks us, you know the result. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow strangely. She felt that Night Sorrow knew very little about common sense. In her eyes, he was an idiot. For example, during this trip, she had explained a lot of things. Night Sorrow didn't know anything. It's not shameful to ask. There are some things that I really don't know, and no one told me, Night Sorrow said with a smile. In this aspect, he admitted that he wasn't good enough. Looking at Night Sorrow and thinking about Night Sorrow's path of growth, the heavenly concubine understood. Night Sorrow had a few masters, but Yu Yangyu and the Qing Emperor weren't at a high enough level. They didn't know much about some things, so they couldn't teach Night Sorrow anything. As for Yin Wushuang, he was naturally very experienced. He wasn't much worse than the heavenly concubine. They both had their own strengths, but he had only met Night Sorrow once. He had only left behind his inheritance. Other than that, he didn't have any other guidance for Night Sorrow. The most important thing was that Night Sorrow was too young. Compared to cultivators of the same level, his experience was very low. However, compared to cultivators of the same age, he couldn't be compared at all. Apart from the members of the God-slaying team from the Nine Regions world, cultivators who were 1,000 years old, even if they were geniuses, were at most saint kings or monarchs. Even heavenly monarchs were extremely rare. Yishang, on the other hand, was a mid-level imperial tribulation cultivator. They cannot be compared. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask me. We're friends, so there's no need to be so polite. Don't throw your face elsewhere. The heavenly concubine said with a smile after thinking about Night Sorrow's past. Okay, I'll ask you if there's anything I don't understand. You really don't know much. I haven't found anything you don't know yet. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew this was heavenly concubine's kindness. Old woman, this is the accumulation of time. 9 epochs, 900 billion years. Do you know what kind of concept that is? The heavenly concubine said, That's not right. In the world of cultivators, we only talk about achievements. Age is just a standard to measure one's achievements. Night Sorrow even married a woman many times older than him. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. That's right. Age isn't important among high-level cultivators. I didn't choose this when I married her, mainly because we were in love. Of course, there are also many other reasons. There are also times when I was forced to do something beyond my ability, Night Sorrow said. The heavenly concubine and Wuling concubine both laughed. Night Sorrow was a legend in the Nine Regions world. The story of him being forced to marry by Dechira was also a beautiful story. This was because Night Sorrow's family was very harmonious and loving. This was something everyone knew. Back then, my life goal really wasn't that big. I just wanted to do some things well. Back then, when I joined the Medicine Valley, I wanted to get the protection of the Medicine Valley for Zhuyuan village and let the villagers stay away from the beasts. After I met Chuyu, I wanted to marry and have children in the future and give her a peaceful and happy life. Later on, the world forced me to move forward, giving me a higher goal. Night Sorrow said with a bit of emotion. The heavenly concubine and Wuling concubine nodded. Wuling concubine understood Night Sorrow very well. When they first met on East Snow Mountain, Wuling concubine knew Night Sorrow's attitude towards life. As they chatted, Night Sorrow and the other two quickly moved forward. This world already has order. I hope it won't be destroyed in the future. When they reached the world barrier, they were about to leave. Night Sorrow turned around and looked at the world behind him. Kindness. He always had kindness in his heart. This is a subsidiary world of the world tree. It's the world tree that decides their fate, the heavenly concubine said. Night Sorrow nodded and left this Sumeru world. He brought the two women into the next Sumeru world. After half a month, Night Sorrow and the other two successfully passed through the second Sumeru world. There is only one world line left in front of them. If your cultivation is not enough, your realm is not enough. If you cultivate to the extreme, tearing open a spatial world is just a matter of moments. You should know that someone once cultivated the 100 Worlds defense body. That's proof, the heavenly concubine said. Of course, if you can set up 100 spatial worlds for defense, tearing open a spatial world is too easy. We are now at the last step. After passing through this Sumeru world, we will reach the world tree's true body. Night Sorrow was looking forward to it. More than a year of hard work would soon see the results. In the hazy sky, the world tree's crown was expanding. However, it was hard to tell if it was real or fake. It was also unrealistic to fly close because of the spatial line's defense. The spatial line that Night Sorrow and the other two passed through was very long and extended in a circle. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow and the other two couldn't go around it and had to pass through it. Night Sorrow, I am very curious. You clearly know that I know about the 1,000 Worlds defense body. You also have the conditions to cultivate it. Why didn't you ask? Because of your respect for me, you didn't have any thoughts? The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow. Yes. You fought for the 9 regions world. To put it bluntly, whether it was because of the oath or because you are from the 9 regions world, you should do it. However, there are some things that you are free to do. If I ask, it will only make you embarrassed and cause a rift between us. It is not worth it. I also don't want you to feel sorry for anyone. I don't want you to feel sorry for the demon-winged race. This way, no matter when, we can face each other openly and stand proudly in the world. Isn't that good? Night Sorrow looked at the heavenly concubine and said, I understand. M.O. Tianji nodded. She was very touched. She understood Night Sorrow's resolve. Therefore, she felt that it was even more rare. Absolute arts are all created. Give me some time and let me raise my cultivation. It is not impossible for me to create my own absolute art. Night Sorrow said with a smile. As they chatted, the three entered the last summer world. After entering the last summer world, Night Sorrow realized that this Sumeru world had truly matured. It had perfect laws and the will of heaven and earth. There was even the manifestation of the heavenly Tao. Of course, it was a little weak. The heavenly concubine realized that the repulsive force against her was very low. She could fight without suppressing her cultivation. Night Sorrow, you have worked hard for more than a year. You have been fighting all the time. This time, you can rest. I will scout ahead. After realizing that she could fight without restriction, the heavenly concubine said, W most unspecified currency new H chapter asterisk section, above %V. The repulsive force against the world tree has not changed. I don't have an advantage over you guys. It seems that my spirituality is not enough. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2238. Then she doesn't dislike me. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You can put it that way. Who would dislike the virtuous monarch? She released the energy to repel you out of a defensive instinct. It doesn't mean that she has a subjective opinion of you. The heavenly Tao itself is friendly to virtuous cultivators. The heavenly concubine said. After hearing the heavenly concubine's explanation, Night Sorrow felt a bit more at ease. This way, he might be able to get close to the world tree. He had always been worried that the world tree wouldn't give him the chance to do so. You can't see your own advantages and don't understand how rare it is to become a virtuous monarch. Even if Concubine Ling and I can't, you still have a chance. The world tree is not wary of you. The heavenly concubine shook her head. She knew that Night Sorrow still didn't understand how precious the title of virtuous monarch was. The three of them chatted and laughed as they moved forward. There were cultivators and demonic beasts that blocked their way. The heavenly concubine dealt with them without needing Night Sorrow to do anything. It feels good to be able to fight freely. The past few days were too oppressive. Those poisonous jackals and flame lizards dared to bully me and fight me because I couldn't fight with my full strength. If it was the current situation, they wouldn't dare to even if you beat them to death. The heavenly concubine said. She was in a good mood now. She had been too sullen before and felt like a tiger that had fallen from the sky. Have you dealt with your previous injuries? Night Sorrow asked. After seeing you, I suffered some blows. However, they were all to the body and didn't affect my soul. After my soul returned to my main body, some problems were solved. I'm now in my peak condition. It's just that some cultivation time was delayed. King Yawu, Imo and a few others have cultivated to the soul unity realm. I haven't reached that level yet. The heavenly concubine explained to Night Sorrow. After hearing the heavenly concubine's answer, Night Sorrow was relieved. Cultivators weren't afraid of being injured. As long as their Tao foundation wasn't damaged, they would be fine. What was the Tao foundation? It was the foundation of a cultivator. The foundation of a cultivator was the body and soul. Burning one's essence, blood, and soul power was an unrecoverable injury. Last time, when Imo burned his blood essence and faith power to escape, he had suffered an irrecoverable injury, which was the damage to his Tao foundation. King Yawu was also injured, but to a lesser extent. With the heavenly Tao flower that Night Sorrow gave him, he had already recovered, and his Tao foundation was unharmed. Heavenly Concubine then told Night Sorrow that it was actually a blessing in disguise. Her body was placed in the heaven-sealing Great Hall by Night Sorrow and was baptized by the 9 regions world's origin power. Her Tao became deeper and her soul mark was erased. It was just that it took some effort to fuse her soul and body. You too, be careful. There's really an expert approaching. Is this the second cultivator of the tribulation of the 9 emperors that is going to die in our hands? The heavenly concubine held her sword in front of her with her left hand. She sensed that an expert was coming. It was a tribulation of the 9 emperors cultivator at the same level as her. After the heavenly concubine's warning, a group of people appeared. The leader was an old man in a blue robe. Foreign cultivators. That means you have a cultivation inheritance. Swear to the heavenly Tao that you will leave behind all your cultivation inheritance and then scram. Otherwise, you will die. Shameless boasting. Seems like you are their leader. The heavenly concubine was so angry that she laughed. What was an inheritance? It was a civilization and an orthodoxy. Protecting the orthodoxy and passing down the orthodoxy was something that every cultivator should do. The other party came and directly asked for an inheritance. It was obvious that they didn't take the 3 of them seriously. I am the Heavenly River King. You said that I am shameless boasting. Are you not going to hand it over? If you don't hand it over, you will die. The blue-robed old man's eyes shone with an ominous glint. I don't know how to curse you. Calling you trash is like praising you. Since you are a frog in a well, then you will pay the price for your short-sightedness. The heavenly concubine couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with this heavenly river king and attacked. The heavenly concubine's reserved aura completely erupted. The heavenly river king's expression changed. The heavenly concubine's aura was too strong. It was much stronger than his. If the heavenly concubine had shown this aura and aura from the beginning, the heavenly river king would have considered whether to fight this battle or not. However, he had to fight now. Night Sorrow and Wu Ling Fei didn't say anything. They directly attacked the heavenly river king's subordinates. At this time, they could only fight. Only by winning could they continue moving forward. Wu Ling Fei had gone through 8 emperors' tribulations, but she had the cultivation and realm of 9 emperors' tribulations. In addition to her own talent, she had the combat strength of an emperor's tribulation. She used the extreme frost world to freeze everything around her. Even if the heavenly river king's subordinates could withstand it, they would have to consume a lot of energy. At this time, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger were slaughtering violently. It was as if they were harvesting lives. Yishang had kindness in his heart, but when it came to battle, it was also his character to kill decisively. It was a one-sided massacre. Among the cultivators that the heavenly river king brought, only one had a higher cultivation than Night Sorrow. He was at the tribulation of 6 emperors. His cultivation was higher than Night Sorrow's, but from the start of the battle, he was suppressed by Night Sorrow's original body. Night Sorrow didn't even need the help of his doppelganger. The heavenly river king knew that he had been blind. He had kicked an iron plate. The heavenly concubine was too strong. He could only passively defend. He hated the heavenly concubine. If she had shown her strength earlier, he might not have gotten close. Translator, Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios, this situation wasn't a mistake in the heavenly concubine strategy. It caused her to not be able to scare off her enemies and opponents. It was enough to show a portion of her strength to scare off her opponents. If she showed her full strength, then when others really came, she would be in a passive position. The heavenly concubine controlled the balance between showing and hiding her strength very well. Like now, even if she didn't scare off the heavenly river king, she could still control the situation. There were more than 20 cultivators that the heavenly river king brought. After a while, other than the one who ran away and the cultivator who was bitterly holding on, the rest were all killed by Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei. Normally, in this situation, the heavenly river king had many subordinates. If they split up and ran, it wouldn't be too difficult to escape. However, Wu Lingfei's extreme cold limited their speed. The one who ran away had a good cultivation and was resistant to the extreme cold because he was of the ice attribute. That was why he ran away. In the end, there were only 2 battlefields left: the heavenly concubine and the heavenly river king, and Night Sorrow and the cultivator from the heavenly river king's tribulation. The cultivator from the heavenly river king's tribulation was bitterly holding on. At this time, he was already heavily injured. Night Sorrow could directly suppress the cultivator from the heavenly river king's tribulation, let alone the cultivator from the heavenly river king's tribulation. There was a difference of 1 level between the heavenly river king's tribulation and the heavenly river king's tribulation, but this difference of 1 level was the watershed in the evolution of the soul level. The difference was huge. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Night Sorrow eliminated his opponent. Then, he charged towards the heavenly river king. When encountering an opponent with the cultivation of the heavenly river king's tribulation, cultivators under the heavenly river king's tribulation would avoid them like the plague. However, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. It wasn't like he hadn't experienced such a battle before. Control. Chapter 2239. The heavenly river king's situation wasn't good to begin with. He was being suppressed by the heavenly concubine. The addition of Night Sorrow made his situation even worse. After being restricted, his body was constantly attacked. The heavenly river king was constantly hit by the heavenly concubine's attacks. After the sword chi entered his body, it began to destroy his body. The accumulation of advantages and disadvantages began to stack. You 2 damn adulterous couple. After the heavenly river king was injured, he cursed without thinking. He hated the heavenly concubine for hiding her cultivation. He also hated Night Sorrow for attacking without fear of death. Night Sorrow's desperate attacks disrupted the heavenly river king's rhythm. His attack rhythm, defense rhythm, and even movement rhythm were all disrupted. This made the heavenly concubine's attacks even smoother. Why do you say that? You're the one who came to kill us. You're the one who shamelessly said that you wanted the inheritance. Now, you're the one who isn't strong enough. Who can you blame? The heavenly concubine replied. She never thought that she would be called adulteress one day. Night Sorrow didn't reply. He didn't want to argue. In the end, he still needed to use the results of the battle to solve the problem. Using strength to speak was the most powerful. After fighting for an hour, the heavenly river king was killed by the heavenly concubine and Night Sorrow. In the past, the 9 Emperor's Tribulation cultivators wouldn't die unless they faced the threat of the god destroying tribulation. Even if they encountered other 9 Emperor's Tribulation cultivators who were stronger, they could still retreat. If the difference was too big, they might have to burn their blood essence and soul power to retreat. In the worst case, their soul would leave their body. But now they've died. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, Yishang's appearance cut off the path of retreat for the cultivators of the tribulation of 9 emperors who were at a disadvantage. The suppression of the merit domain and the burning of the fire of merit cut off the cultivators of the tribulation of 9 emperors. You can kill him, but you let him run? You're despicable, and your mouth is despicable. Damn it, Night Sorrow said. It doesn't matter. We can't lower ourselves to the level of a dead person. Unfortunately, they don't have many treasures. Heavenly Concubine broke into Heavenly River King's storage ring and destroyed his soul imprint. After checking it, she handed it over to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved his hand and refused. You keep it. Let's go somewhere else to have a cup of tea and rest. This area should be safe. Night Sorrow did not take the Heavenly River King's storage ring, and the Heavenly Concubine did not force him. She was the same as Night Sorrow. She did not place much importance on formalities. You're right. It should be stable. Sky River King has the tribulation of the 9 emperors. He's probably the overlord of Sumeru world. At the very least, he's invincible in this area. After killing him, there shouldn't be any strong opponents for a while. Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow had the same opinion. Moving to a different location, he took out a tea table and made a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. Drink up. I'll go get some prey. The Heavenly Concubine flashed and left. Prey appeared in the range of her soul power. Night Sorrow also moved. He found a few withered branches of an ancient tree nearby and started a fire. Eating barbecued meat, Night Sorrow was a bit emotional. In the past, when I went out to train, I would often eat barbecued meat and drink wine after a battle. These are all beautiful memories. Actually, happiness and unhappiness in life has nothing to do with cultivation. It's mainly about attitude. Heavenly Concubine poured a cup of wine for Night Sorrow and said, Aunt Concubine, will you live in the Ice Phoenix race or return to the 9 regions world? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked, Naturally, I'll return to the 9 regions world. East Snow Mountain is my home. Help me look after it and don't let other cultivators occupy it. Wu Lingfei smiled and said, Okay, I'll take care of it. Night Sorrow nodded. The lake near Sky City is not bad. Give me a place near the lake. When there's no war in the 9 regions world, I'll go there to rest. I can also watch over your home. Heavenly Concubine smiled and said, Y new VM new are square root max 5k fast up WB. Night Sorrow nodded at Heavenly Concubine. He would take care of these matters. Heavenly Concubine didn't need to stay in 9 Regions City all the time. 9 Regions City was guarded by his clones. After making his decision, Night Sorrow's clones went to the eastern ice plains of the eastern Xian region and flew toward East Snow Mountain. Night Sorrow didn't use his speed. He flew slowly. Revisiting this place, he was deeply moved. Back then, he had only been a rank 2 or rank 3 cultivator. Now he was already a top cultivator. A wave of his hand had the power to destroy the world. The 9 regions world was developing well. There were already groups of cultivators in the Ice Plains Sea, or groups of people seeking opportunities. After Night Sorrow flew past, he naturally released his aura, causing their movements to slow down. Space seemed to have stopped. It's a great expert, a man said to his companions. Brother, that's the Realm Lord. It's a pity that the Realm Lord hasn't returned to the Medicine Valley for a long time. The Medicine Valley has disappointed him. A disciple of the Medicine Valley said as he looked in the direction Night Sorrow disappeared. The Medicine Valley did have some problems in the past few years. Look at how the Night Moon Dynasty, which is also related to the Realm Lord, has developed. The Yi family has always been in the pugilistic world, but there are no traces of them. Why? Because they don't use the Realm Lord as their backing. A woman in the group said, Yeah, they don't even wear silk brocades. They're frugal and virtuous. This is the Yi family's upbringing and style. Another member said, Let's go. Let's follow the traces left by the Realm Lord. Who knows, we might see him. The Realm Lord wouldn't appear in the Eastern Ice Plains for no reason. East Snow Mountain, the Realm Lord might have gone to East Snow Mountain. That's where the Golden Phoenix used to cultivate. By the time the training team arrived at East Snow Mountain, it was already enveloped by a mountain defense array. At the foot of East Snow Mountain stood a tall stone tablet. East Snow Mountain, Golden Phoenix Training Ground, Night Sorrow. The members of the group understood why Night Sorrow was here. He was here to clear East Snow Mountain's name. In the future, this place would be the training ground of the Eastern Xian Domain Lord, Wu Lingfei. Even if no one was here, Other cultivators wouldn't be able to enter or occupy it. World of Trees. On the way, Night Sorrow took out an array diagram and handed it to Wu Lingfei. Annie Fei, I've dealt with East Snow Mountain. This is the diagram of the protective array. You've dealt with it so quickly. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. My Nine Realms doppelganger accompanied eldest senior brother for a drink. When I had nothing to do, I went to East Snow Mountain and set up a protective array to prevent other cultivators from occupying it. Even if it's only for a few days, Annie Fei won't be happy. Night Sorrow smiled. Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded. She naturally accepted Night Sorrow's good intentions. We're halfway through the last Sumeru world. We'll be able to see the true body of the world tree soon. Night Sorrow looked ahead. Chapter 2240. Night Sorrow and the other two continued forward. The last Sumeru world was very large. It was even larger than the worlds in the World Zone group. The only difference was that it did not have a real world origin. It was supported by the origin power of the world tree. This was also the characteristic of all the spatial worlds in the periphery of the world tree. They did not have a world origin. If there was a real world origin, cultivators above the king level would not be able to enter. There were no battles as they advanced. This was because the heavenly concubine's strength made some cultivators avoid her, let alone fight her. When they were not far from the spatial barrier of the Sumeru world, another battle broke out. It was a crazy rhino-type beast cultivator. The beast cultivator was at the Tribulation 7 Emperor's realm. His combat power was not enough. Naturally, he was just giving away resources and materials. After killing this beast cultivator, Night Sorrow and the other two arrived at the spatial barrier of the Sumeru world. However, they did not leave immediately. Instead, they rested for a few days to dissipate the murderous aura on their bodies. After all, they were about to reach the real area where the world tree was. After resting, Night Sorrow stood up and tidied his robe. We can enter the world of trees in this state. As for the murderous aura, it's another matter. As Night Sorrow tore open the spatial barrier, the three of them entered the core world where the world tree was. It was also the last world of the 1,000 Realms, 1,000 Defense. After entering, Night Sorrow and the other two took a deep breath. The spirit chi in this world was too dense. It was not weaker than the space where the flame lizard was, which was also where the soul nurturing grass was. It was even stronger. The heavenly concubine said, "We have to be careful. In a world like this, even a pig can cultivate." Night Sorrow nodded. Then he looked up. Deep in the sky, there was a dense crown of the world tree. The crown extended in all directions and was wrapped in energy. However, the crown was real. There was no strong rejection. Night Sorrow knew that they had passed the first stage. After dealing with all the obstacles, they could get close to the main trunk of the world tree. That was where the tree spirit was. As for whether the problem could be solved or not, it all depended on the attitude of the tree spirit. Heavenly concubine, the world tree should know that we're here. Why doesn't the tree spirit appear directly? Wu Lingfei asked. I don't know the details. The tree crown is only her body. The area with thoughts and intelligence is the main trunk. See us? There are many cultivators in the world of trees. Why would she care who we are? If you don't threaten her, she won't bother, said the heavenly concubine. Hearing heavenly concubine's words, Night Sorrow laughed self-deprecatingly. That's right. She doesn't care who we are. It's not like there aren't any cultivators from the tribulation of 9 emperors in her affiliated worlds. We're nothing special in her eyes. After lamenting for a while, the three of them began to move forward toward the area where the world tree was. In reality, this world wasn't big. However, because it was shrouded in dense origin energy, the range of soul power detection was extremely small. Plus, they couldn't be rash. Therefore, Night Sorrow and the other two advanced very slowly. Otherwise, it wouldn't take them long to fly over. Compared to the last Sumeru world, the world Night Sorrow and the other two were in had dense spirit energy, but it was much quieter. Night Sorrow and the other two were very careful. The next step was the most crucial one. After working hard for a year, it wouldn't be worth it to make a mistake at the last moment. Unlike what Night Sorrow and the other two expected, they advanced slowly for 1,000 miles. There were no battles and no other cultivators. Cultivators who aren't especially strong can't survive here. The formless pressure is too strong, said the heavenly concubine. But I feel that there's also a sense of vicissitudes and desolation. Feel it carefully and see if you feel the same as me. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and sensed. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the heavenly concubine and wooing concubine began to carefully sense it. They knew that if they hadn't discovered it, Night Sorrow wouldn't have said that. After sensing for a while, the heavenly concubine opened her eyes, and wooing concubine stopped after a while. How do you feel? Night Sorrow asked the two women. I have to admire you. You can even sense such a faint aura. How did you discover it? The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and asked because the vicissitudes and desolation aura was very faint. I have the 9-domain world origin beads in my body, so I'm more familiar and sensitive to the aura of origin energy. The origin energy in this world tree is very dense, but in reality, it's still a bit weaker than the 9-domain world origin beads. When I discovered that something was wrong, I carefully sensed it and discovered the problem. Why do you think this happened? Night Sorrow asked. The world tree is still in its infancy. How can it have such an ancient aura? This shouldn't be. The heavenly concubine said with confusion. It seems that there's something we don't know about. Let's slowly walk and see. Night Sorrow said. The three of them continued forward, but in their hearts, they knew that the situation in the world tree was different from what they had expected. After advancing for a while, the heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, I feel a bit tired. Can we rest a bit before continuing? It's not a physical exhaustion, it's a mental exhaustion. Me too. This is because of the high tension. Night Sorrow nodded. He also felt that he needed to relax. The three of them set up camp. Night Sorrow took out the barbecued meat he had made in the Sumeru world. After heating it up, he took out 2 jars of wine and said, Relax a bit before we continue. The heavenly concubine and Wu Ling concubine nodded. They were women. Under such circumstances, they naturally relied on Night Sorrow. This was the difference between men and women. Actually, there's nothing to be nervous about. If there's anyone blocking the way, we'll just kill them. We must see the tree spirit of the world tree. After that, we'll talk about other things. Night Sorrow looked at the heavenly concubine and Wu Ling concubine. The heavenly concubine smiled and said, It's tiring to think too much. Actually, the essence of the matter is the same as what you said. We must see the tree spirit of the world tree. Before that, no matter who blocks the way, we'll kill them all. Yes, we can even kill the cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. What are we afraid of? Could it be a group of cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors? Obviously not. At most, they'll be a bit stronger. Night Sorrow said. Although he said that, he knew that the evil spirit and guardian of the world tree would definitely be very strong. Yes, if there's a battle, we'll fight. We shouldn't be the ones being afraid. It's really not a big deal. The heavenly concubine smiled and said. After resting for a while and adjusting his mentality, Night Sorrow continued forward with the heavenly concubine and Wu Ling concubine. Chapter 2241. Night Sorrow. You can't go through your tribulation here. Why don't we leave first and go to the middle of the space line or the last summer world? You can go through your tribulation there. Heavenly Concubine said after seeing Night Sorrow reach a bottleneck. Let's not go through the tribulation for now. The lightning tribulation will only affect my growth. It won't affect my fighting strength much. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't want to go through the tribulation. It's good to settle down. Not going through the tribulation won't affect your fighting strength in the short term. Heavenly Concubine said, letting out a breath. Night Sorrow pushed the tribulation to the back of his mind and continued forward. After advancing for another 500 kilometers, a clump of black fog enveloped by essence power appeared. The black fog howled as it charged towards Yishan's team. Night Sorrow, be careful. It's a divine soul unity realm evil cultivator. If I'm not wrong, he's the companion of the world tree. Heavenly Concubine's body flashed and appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's soul power vibrated and took Wu Lingfei into the clear sky pagoda. He couldn't do this in the previous Sumeru space because the repulsive force would also repel the spatial treasure. Now that he was in a main world where the world tree was, there was no repulsive force. Therefore, Night Sorrow could take Wu Lingfei into the spatial world. Night Sorrow had to be careful. A divine soul unity realm cultivator was too terrifying. A powerful energy shockwave from a powerful attack could cause fatal damage to Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow put Wu Lingfei away. The rolling black cloud arrived in front of him and Heavenly Concubine. It was a man wrapped in black, evil energy. He was very strong. Night Sorrow felt a lot of pressure from this man's aura. Intuitively, Night Sorrow felt that this man was stronger than Mo Zhantian. He should be on par with King Wu and Tran Hung. You dare come here? You really don't know life from death. After the black-clothed man roared, he swung his blade and attacked the Heavenly Concubine. As for Yi Shang, who was at the peak of the Four Emperor tribulation, he ignored him and didn't take him seriously. The Heavenly Concubine unsheathed her sword and fought with the black-clothed man. After the battle began, the Heavenly Concubine was at a disadvantage. The black-clothed man's attacks were extremely fast. The black energy's penetrative power was extremely strong. The Heavenly Concubine's protective Dao domain could not block it. Even the sputtering astral sabers could penetrate it. Night Sorrow, hurry up and leave. He's a gifted evil divine beast, the Black Horn Dragon. The Heavenly Concubine yelled at the Night Sorrow. She knew that she couldn't take down the Black Horn Dragon. She could hold on for now, but she would definitely lose after a while. After all, her cultivation level was lower than the Black Horn Dragon's. Let's fight together. Night Sorrow's body trembled, and his doppelganger appeared. Then, the two of them charged towards the Black Horn Dragon. Night Sorrow was the one who attacked. His original body used the heavenly Samsara halberd to perform the primordial destruction slash, while his doppelganger used the true reincarnation dragon art. Together, they attacked the Black Horn Dragon. Night Sorrow, hurry up and leave. This is different from before. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't leave and even attacked, the Heavenly Concubine was very anxious. No matter how dangerous it is, I, Night Sorrow, don't have the habit of leaving my companions behind. I didn't in the past, and I won't in the future. Night Sorrow turned his head and glanced at the Heavenly Concubine. Then, he used his power of merit to activate the Human Tao Grand Ceremonies Book of Taoism. He used the Human Emperor's Seal to suppress the Black Horn Dragon. At the same time, he also strengthened his body. He was afraid that the rebound force would be too strong and cause his body to collapse. With a boom, Night Sorrow's original body's heavenly Samsara halberd hit the Black Horn Dragon's retracted battle saber. Then he was knocked back. Night Sorrow's original body was knocked back, but his doppelganger came forward. The bloodlust, evil-slaying spear carried a black whirlpool of reincarnation energy and stabbed towards the Black Horn Dragon's chest. And, after spitting out 2 words, the Black Horn Dragon's left fist smashed towards Night Sorrow's doppelganger's chest. He didn't care about Night Sorrow's bloodlust, evil-slaying spear attack. Who do you think you are? Descend, weaken. After glaring at the Black Horn Dragon, Night Sorrow used the Deluxe Merit Monarch's verbal law to weaken the Black Horn Dragon's attack. Then, he used Hadouken with his left hand and continued to attack with the Bloodlust evil-slaying spear in his right hand. The Heavenly Concubine's long sword moved rhythmically and stabbed towards the Black Horn Dragon's head. With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow's left fist aura and the Black Horn Dragon's fist aura collided with each other. There was a boom. After the collision, Night Sorrow's doppelganger's left arm became limp. The flesh inside his skin was completely shattered. Night Sorrow's doppelganger exerted strength in his legs so that his body wouldn't fall back. The bloodlust, evil-slaying spear stabbed forward with all its might. It pierced through the black horned dragon's protective energy and stabbed into its chest. Then, the forbidden reincarnation energy rushed into the black horned dragon's body. The black horned dragon's eyes were full of shock. He thought his punch would be able to kill Night Sorrow, but all it did was break Night Sorrow's arm. It didn't kill Night Sorrow, and it didn't even make him fall back. Night Sorrow's real body used space-time realm. In a flash, he appeared in front of the heavenly concubine. The Samsara halberd used first destroyed slash again to attack the black horned dragon. Horned dragon real body. The black horned dragon roared. Black light flowed across its body. After Night Sorrow's doppelganger's bloodlust, evil-slaying spear pierced 3 inches, it couldn't go any further. Its left hand punched towards Night Sorrow's real body as it retreated. He didn't care much about Night Sorrow's attack, but he had to take the heavenly concubine's attack seriously. She was a 9 Emperor's disaster cultivator, and her power was higher than his. Destroys soul slash. Night Sorrow's real body and doppelganger both used Destroy Soul Slash. Then, his real body used Space-Time Realm again. The Blackhorn Dragon's new punch was much more powerful than the previous one. He had underestimated it before, but now he was going all out. If it hit him, he would be half dead. His real body used Space-Time Realm to retreat. Night Sorrow's doppelganger stomped his feet and rushed forward. He didn't want to give the Blackhorn Dragon a chance to get away from the bloodlust, evil-slaying spear. Heavenly Concubine attack. Night Sorrow shouted at the Heavenly Concubine. His doppelganger followed the Blackhorn Dragon. The bloodlust, evil-slaying spear used its body's strength to stab into the Blackhorn Dragon's body. The doppelganger continued to attack. Night Sorrow's real body used Space-Time Realm to dodge the Blackhorn Dragon's punch. Then, the Samsara halberd attacked again. This time, it was a projectile. He didn't want to give the Blackhorn Dragon a chance to hit his doppelganger. If it did, his doppelganger would be knocked back, and the situation wouldn't be good. Seeing the Samsara halberd flying toward it, the Blackhorn Dragon pulled out its left arm and sent the Samsara halberd flying into the void. After the weapon was sent flying, Night Sorrow's real body arrived in front of the Blackhorn Dragon. His left arm pulled the Blackhorn Dragon's left arm under his armpit. Then, his right hand and left hand came together and controlled the Blackhorn Dragon's left arm. Burn! After the real body controlled the Blackhorn Dragon's left arm, Night Sorrow's doppelganger's flames appeared. It was a golden flame. It was the burning of blood essence. The virtuous Tao body's blood essence burned to increase its combat power. As the doppelganger's blood essence burned, Night Sorrow's doppelganger's combat power increased. The bloodlust, evil-slaying spear rushed forward and pierced half a foot into the Blackhorn Dragon's body. Then, the true chi in the doppelganger's body rushed into the Blackhorn Dragon's body like waves. The Blackhorn Dragon's face turned green. He had been paying attention to the Heavenly Concubine's attack. He didn't think about what Night Sorrow could do. Now, the one who hurt him was Night Sorrow. Chapter 2242. The Heavenly Concubine was afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was going all out in this battle. He didn't care if he was injured or not. He didn't even care if he died. Anyone with a bit of fear in their heart wouldn't do this. The Heavenly Concubine was going all out in this battle. She had to restrain the Blackhorn Dragon's sword and find an opportunity to heavily injure the Blackhorn Dragon. The Compassion Sword Chi required a high cultivation level and a strong soul power to support it. Therefore, it was very powerful and was the Heavenly Concubine's ultimate skill. Seeing the Heavenly Concubine's sword chi, the Blackhorn Dragon's eyes twitched. He felt threatened. He knew that if he was hit by the sword chi, not only would his body be injured, his soul wouldn't be able to take it. He didn't have the time or energy to deal with Night Sorrow. He swung his sword at the Heavenly Concubine's Compassion Sword Chi. Enough. This was the effect Night Sorrow wanted. Night Sorrow hugged the Blackhorn Dragon's arm and flipped his body. He was back to back with the black horn dragon. He pushed the black horn dragon's back and slowed him down. At the same time, his right hand formed a fist and smashed towards the black horn dragon's head. Mad dog! The black horn dragon shook his head and dodged Knight Sorrow's fist. He couldn't understand Knight Sorrow's fighting style. The original body controlled the black horn dragon's body to move. Knight Sorrow's avatar poured his power of virtue into the blood-chilling, evil-slaying spear and stabbed forward. The spear made from the blood-chilling's tail, bone shone brightly, and the blood-chilling, evil-slaying spear stabbed into the black horn dragon's body again. Break for me! Knight Sorrow's original body roared. His left arm locked the black horn dragon's left arm, and his right elbow smashed towards the black horn dragon's back. The black horn dragon couldn't dodge Knight Sorrow's attack. The black horn dragon's back was hit by Knight Sorrow's powerful elbow. The moment he stopped moving back, Knight Sorrow's avatar's blood-chilling, evil-slaying spear pierced through the black horn dragon's body. The tip of the spear came out from the side of Knight Sorrow. Yishang's true body didn't care about the sharpness of the blood-chilling, vanquishing evil spear. He grabbed the tip of the spear and pulled. Then, he poured the beginning energy into the black horn dragon's body. Yi Chen's true body controlled the blood-chilling, evil-slaying spear, while Yi Chen's avatar flew into the air. His left foot kicked the end of the blood-chilling, evil-slaying spear, while his right foot kicked the black horn dragon's chest. He poured energy into the black horn dragon's body, while his body flipped backward, leaving the black horn dragon's attack range. Then, he stopped burning his blood essence. Continuing to burn essence blood was a big loss. If he could stop, he would. Yishang's avatar retreated. A few of Heavenly Concubine's compassion life sword energies flew into the black horn dragon's chest. They followed the trembling blood-chilling, evil, punishing spear into the black horn dragon's body. Black horn dragon kept roaring. The situation was very bad for him. His left arm was held by Knight Sorrow's arm. He couldn't attack. Knight Sorrow was too strong. His body moved to the left. Knight Sorrow's body moved to the right. He crashed into Heavenly Concubine's compassion sword chi. He couldn't say anything. Without the spear in hand, and without time to find the reincarnation sky halberd, Knight Sorrow's avatar took out a long sword and attacked black horn dragon. At the same time, Knight Sorrow's right hand kept shaking the blood-chilling, evil-slaying spear. He sent energy into black horn dragon's body and started destroying it. At this time, Wu Lingfei flashed away from Knight Sorrow's clear sky pagoda. She flew far away. She was looking for the reincarnation sky halberd for Knight Sorrow. You call me an ant? You're nothing. Today, I'm going to kill you. Knight Sorrow went crazy. He used his body's strength to control black horn dragon's left arm. His right arm grabbed the blood-chilling, evil-slaying spear and continuously attacked black horn dragon. Heavenly Concubine's long sword quickly swung. The sky full of compassion, sword chi, kept exploding into black horn dragon's body. Every compassion sword chi that hit black horn dragon's body would emit a white mist. This was a phenomenon caused by destroying black horn dragon's body. While attacking black horn dragon's body, the compassion sword chi kept attacking black horn dragon's spirit sea. Black horn dragon faced the double damage from Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine. In addition, the human Emperor Seal was constantly suppressing black horn dragon's power. You damn ant! Black horn dragon kept cursing. From now on, whoever calls me an ant, I will kill them. Knight Sorrow was very angry. He hated it when people looked down on him. The battle continued, but the scales of victory were tilting towards Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine. After an hour, black horn dragon was only struggling. Knight Sorrow catch. Wu Lingfei retrieved the Samsara halberd and threw it at Knight Sorrow. Elsewhere, if the Samsara halberd was knocked away, Wu Lingfei would be able to retrieve it in an instant. However, it was very difficult in the world of trees. She searched for it and wasted a lot of time. Even an hour was the result of her rushing. Knight Sorrow's original body was controlling black horn dragon's body. He could only send his doppelganger to catch the weapon. With the Samsara halberd in hand, Knight Sorrow's doppelganger's attacks became smoother. However, his doppelganger's injuries were more severe. His left arm still had flesh and blood essence, but his tendons and bones were all shattered. Burning his essence blood was also very harmful to him. However, Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid of this. He just wanted to kill Blackhorn Dragon. As for his doppelganger, as long as his soul wasn't destroyed, it wouldn't hurt his foundation. When his soul was complete, even if his doppelganger was destroyed, he could still cultivate a new one with a complete soul. However, this situation didn't apply to the original body. Even soul-uniting realm cultivators couldn't do it. If the original body's blood essence was damaged, then the Tao Foundation would be damaged. As time went on, Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine's attacks became more and more violent. Blackhorn Dragon gradually couldn't take it anymore. Kacha! Knight Sorrow's original body exerted force and broke Blackhorn Dragon's left arm. Then, he turned his body and hooked his left arm around Blackhorn Dragon's neck. His right knee smashed into Blackhorn Dragon's waist. Then, his right hand punched the back of Blackhorn Dragon's head. Damn it! The Blackhorn Dragon cursed. He had been in a passive position ever since Yishang had taken control of his body. Now, Yishang's punch didn't shatter his head, but it still made him see stars. You're the one who deserves to die. Knight Sorrow punched again. While Blackhorn Dragon was seeing stars, Heavenly Concubine's long sword pierced straight into Blackhorn Dragon's spirit sea. Blackhorn Dragon's body was destroyed. Blackhorn Dragon's soul could only leave his body. You can't run. I said, whoever calls me an ant, I'll kill them. Knight Sorrow roared. He waved his arm, and the fire of virtue appeared on the human emperor's seal. The fire of virtue exploded in all directions. Then, it shrunk and wrapped around Blackhorn Dragon's soul. At the same time, the human emperor's seal shone brightly and hovered above Blackhorn Dragon's soul to suppress it. Heavenly Concubine's body trembled. She felt that the crazy Knight Sorrow was really crazy. He even dared to fight a soul-uniting realm cultivator of the tribulation of 9 emperors. Chapter 2243. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the Blackhorn Dragon let out an unwilling roar as its soul was shattered. Knight Sorrow let out a sigh of relief. His body swayed a bit. Not to mention his injuries, his main body and avatar had both used up all their energy and were extremely exhausted. Wu Lingfei flashed to Knight Sorrow's side and supported Knight Sorrow's body. Let's go into the Clear Sky Pagoda. Releasing the Clear Sky Pagoda, Knight Sorrow's soul shook. He wrapped Wu Lingfei and the Heavenly Concubine and entered the Clear Sky Pagoda's time acceleration level. Then, Knight Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine began to meditate. Knight Sorrow's original body meditated to recover while his clone healed. The recovery time was faster. After 2 days, Knight Sorrow's original body and the Heavenly Concubine were back to their peak condition. However, Knight Sorrow's clone was still pale. Burning his Virtue Tao body was very harmful to him. Healing like this couldn't solve the problem. /Oh Knight Sorrow, don't do this in the future. I'm scared. The Heavenly Concubine said to Knight Sorrow, who was sitting by the tea table. I have no choice. If I retreat, this mission will fail. I can't abandon my companions. That will leave a shadow in my heart. If my heart is covered in dust, and I can't face myself, how can I improve? Some things must be done. Knight Sorrow shook his head at the Heavenly Concubine. Knight Sorrow insisted on doing something and not doing it. But your clone is too damaged, Wu Lingfei said. She was heartbroken. It's okay. If I can't recover, I'll give up. Knight Sorrow thought about it and said, how can you think like that? Isn't the price too high? The Heavenly Concubine looked at Knight Sorrow with surprise. The World Tree is too important to the Celestial Realm and the 9 Zones world. Your safety is also very important to me. It's best if I can keep my battle clone. If I can't, then I'll use my full power. If it's destroyed, then I'll waste some time to rebuild it. Knight Sorrow sighed. Don't you have the Heavenly Tao Flower? Wu Lingfei asked Knight Sorrow. They're two different things. My clone can be cultivated again, but the heavenly Tao flower can't be regenerated. Once it's used up, it's gone. Without the heavenly Tao flower, we won't be able to make up for anything that happens to our true bodies. Knight Sorrow shook his head. Heavenly Concubine and Dancing Spirit Concubine looked at each other. They didn't expect Knight Sorrow to have such thoughts. Don't give up. The Black Dragon should be the companion of the World Tree. The soul-uniting realm is the highest realm below the Divine Emperor realm before the God-destroying tribulation. There shouldn't be any more opponents like that. At most, there will be the protector of the World Tree. We can deal with that. We'll talk about your clone when we get back, said the Heavenly Concubine. It's too late. My doppelganger has already lost 20% of its vitality. If I don't use the Heavenly Tao flower, it probably won't recover. Don't worry. Creating another doppelganger will just waste some materials and time. It's nothing compared to this, Knight Sorrow said. No, you don't understand. There's a difference between the original doppelganger and the doppelganger that was cultivated later. If you cultivate another doppelganger, you might lose some of your abilities. Take the virtuous Tao body, for example. Your current doppelganger grew together with your true body. The virtuous Tao aura is also condensed bit by bit. It's a gift from the heavenly Tao. If you cultivate again, it might not exist anymore. Also, there will be some accumulation after the battle. The new doppelganger won't exist. Don't give up. We'll think of something when we get back. Heavenly Concubine was worried that Knight Sorrow would give up on his doppelganger. So that's how it is. Knight Sorrow sighed helplessly. Even so, he didn't regret it. In that situation, he had to fight. If he didn't fight, he would be in danger. He ran away with Dancing Spirit Concubine. What about Heavenly Concubine? This mission had also failed. Thank you for not abandoning me. Heavenly Concubine nodded at Knight Sorrow. She was very touched. She also understood why so many people gathered around Knight Sorrow. It was because of his sincerity. He didn't abandon his friends and companions. Even if he died, it gave people an indescribable sense of security. No need to be so polite. We came out together. If I'm alive, then you're all alive. Knight Sorrow smiled and took a cup of tea from Dancing Spirit Concubine. As long as I'm alive, you'll all be alive. That's a good way to put it. All right, who taught you how to fight? It's like a madman created it. Heavenly Concubine thought of Knight Sorrow's death battle with the Black Dragon and was speechless. She was afraid of encountering such an opponent, let alone others. No one taught me. I just felt that it was more suitable. In a situation where I didn't have an advantage in any aspect, I could only use my strongest point to fight against him. Compared to the Black Horn Dragon, I only had a strong body and strength, so I felt that close combat was more suitable. Yishan was a bit conflicted after being called a madman. He hadn't thought too much about it at the time. I'm not scolding you, huh? I've never seen such a battle. You're the bane of the tribulation of 9 emperors. Without you, Scorpion Kwong wouldn't have died. Without your help, not to mention killing the Black Dragon, I would have been in a bad situation. If it went well, I would have been able to retreat safely. If it didn't, I would have had to burn my essence, blood, and soul. The Black Dragon was too strong. Heavenly Concubine shook her head. This was the most intense battle she had ever fought. When she fought with Yan Wushuang, both of them were around the tribulation of 7 emperors. In the real world, it took a month for Knight Sorrow's clone to recover from its injuries. However, the Heavenly Desolate City had thought of a way to deal with it. Knight Sorrow's doppelganger was injured in the battle with the Black Dragon. Wu Lingfei told the Heavenly Desolate City Lord. This was a big deal. The Heavenly Desolate City Lord called a meeting of elders and reported Knight Sorrow's situation. The young city lord is going all out. We can't let the young city lord be injured. If he continues to cultivate a doppelganger, it'll be different from the original doppelganger, the Golden Dragon King said. Knight Sorrow still has 2 petals of the Heavenly Path flower, but he doesn't want to use them. He thinks that good steel should be used on the edge of a blade. He doesn't want to use them on his doppelganger. After all, the Heavenly Path flower is gone after he uses it, Wu Lingfei said. Tran Hung brought her with him when the meeting of elders was called. He's willing to do it for others, but he's unwilling to do it for himself. We can't reach the Renhuang Plain. Qianjia sighed. The heavenly path flower is too precious. Our blood-Kirin clan still has the blood of merit left by our ancestors. It contains the power of merit and the power of blood. When Night Sorrow comes back, we'll give it to him. If it doesn't work, then he must use the heavenly path flower. Some injuries cannot appear on his body. He is still a child, blood-Kirin King Chirue said. Chirue, you mean the blood of auspicious signs? Tranhung looked at Chirue. Chapter 2244. Then I won't be polite with the blood-Qilin race. Let's prepare first. When Night Sorrow comes back, let's use it. As for the heavenly path flower, it's better to save it. Tranhung said, yes, the heavenly path flower can be exchanged for the life and future of a high-level cultivator. Blood-Qilin King nodded. King Yawu was an example. Without the heavenly path flower, King Yawu's injuries couldn't be healed. His foundation would be destroyed, and he wouldn't be able to improve anymore. After the meeting, Wu Lingfei's original body told Night Sorrow about the decision of the elders. I'll have to trouble everyone with my matters again. I'm really sorry, said Yishan. Night Sorrow, you're wrong. Why are you doing this? It's for the sake of the celestial realm. You're risking your life in the front. They should be doing something behind you. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, yes, the elders of the elders are feeling guilty because they can't come to help you. Wu Lingfei said, then we'll talk about it when we get back. We'll leave after drinking tea. Night Sorrow didn't say anything else because he had to accept the elders' good intentions. Night Sorrow's injuries had already recovered. However, his doppelganger's injuries couldn't be healed in a short time. If it couldn't be healed, it would be an irrecoverable injury. After leaving the Clear Sky Pagoda, the three continued forward. The cultivators in this world were relatively poor and didn't have many resources. The spirit chi here was rich and didn't need any cultivation resources. In addition, there weren't any spirit herbs growing here. The earth's nutrients had already been absorbed by the world tree. There wasn't enough nutrients for spirit herbs to grow. After killing the black dragon, Night Sorrow and the other two obtained some of the dragon's materials. However, the crystal core and essence blood were extremely valuable. Night Sorrow's original body led Heavenly Concubine and Wu Lingfei forward. His doppelganger refined the dragon's essence blood in the Clear Sky Pagoda to recover. Although he didn't know how effective it was still beneficial for him. As they advanced, Night Sorrow and the others were very careful because they were very close to the World Tree. They would arrive at the location of the World Tree's main trunk in just a short while. Night Sorrow and the other two advanced at a very slow speed, almost as slow as ordinary low-level cultivators. As they moved forward, the three of them got closer and closer to the World Tree. Heavenly Concubine, Annie Fei, the more we move forward, the more I feel the bleakness and vicissitudes of life. What about you two? After moving forward for a while, Night Sorrow looked at the two women and asked, yes, something must have happened. Normally speaking, it shouldn't be like this. Heavenly Concubine nodded. In fact, there were no more obstructions, not even any other life forms. 2 days later, Night Sorrow's group of three arrived at the area where the World Tree's main trunk was located. They were finally able to see the true appearance of the World Tree. The trunk of the World Tree was close to 100 miles in diameter, and its height was immeasurable. It reached straight into the sky. What shocked Yishang and the others was that there were huge cracks on the tree trunk, and the cracks were filled with black charcoal marks. Traces of lightning tribulation. After taking a look, Night Sorrow confirmed that the huge cracks and charcoal marks were left behind by lightning tribulation. That's right, these are the traces of lightning tribulation. At this moment, a woman's figure appeared on the trunk of the World Tree in front of Night Sorrow's group. Tree Spirit. Although he couldn't see her face clearly, Night Sorrow knew that it was the Tree Spirit. The Tree Spirit's aura surprised Night Sorrow. The bleakness and vicissitudes of life were very strong. Senior, you're not in your infancy stage. Did you fail your tribulation? Night Sorrow asked the question in his heart. Yes, I fail my tribulation. The tree spirit nodded slightly at Night Sorrow. Look. V is on the Z version of the chapter Ka. F. My name is Night Sorrow, and I come from the current and future Paragon worlds. I wonder if I can have a chat with Senior. Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to beat around the bush. It was better to talk directly. He didn't know how to beat around the bush. All right, you have a lot of power of virtue. Countless years have passed, and only one of the Origin Realm's powerhouses is slightly stronger than you. However, you're still young, the tree spirit said. Then, the tree spirit began to talk to itself. The Origin Realm had once been an autark realm, and it hadn't been destroyed even after 1,000 reincarnations of an autark realm and 1,000 reincarnations of a secondary autark realm. This was because the world tree had been there, and it had maintained the origin energy of the Origin Realm. The Origin Realm's destruction was all because of me. When I saw other cultivators cultivating and falling one after another to the god-slaying tribulation, I felt that it was possible, so I began to cultivate. When I reached the tribulation of 9 sovereigns, I didn't suppress myself and directly try to break through the god-slaying tribulation. I felt that there was no problem because my body was innately gifted and my soul wasn't weak either. However, I still failed like the other cultivators, the tree spirit said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew why Tran Hung's judgment was wrong. The world tree's aura was weak not because it was in its infancy stage, but because it had failed its tribulation. Moreover, the origin energy it contained concealed this apocalyptic aura. What are the consequences of failing the tribulation? Night Sorrow didn't hide anything and directly spoke his thoughts. I'll die. The reason I'm holding on now is because of my unique nature, the world tree said. I'm here this time. Originally, I wanted to bring Senior to the sovereign world so that it wouldn't be destroyed. The current sovereign world and the future sovereign world would be connected, and both worlds would benefit. Unfortunately, something happened to Senior. However, that's not important. Is there anything Senior needs my help with? Night Sorrow thought for a moment before asking. He knew that he had failed his mission this time. The world tree had a problem, and it wasn't because he didn't work hard enough. This was the will of the heavens. I can't do it anymore. After failing the tribulation, something happened to my body, and I couldn't stop the Origin Realm from shattering. This tree world is a relatively large fragment of the Origin Realm. I don't need any help in this situation. The tree spirit's hazy eyes sized up Night Sorrow, and light occasionally flashed from them. I'm a bit helpless. Heavenly Concubine, Ani Fei, let's rest for a bit and then return. Yishang said. He wasn't too disappointed. This was supposed to be a journey of opportunity. Now, it was just an opportunity that had gone up in smoke. The Heavenly Concubine and Wu Lingfei nodded, and Wu Lingfei brewed a pot of tea. Night Sorrow, we came for nothing this time. We even damaged your origin energy and damaged your foundation. The Heavenly Concubine felt a bit unbalanced. Life is full of ups and downs. It's fine if my origin energy is damaged. If there's a problem, it's fine as long as it's resolved. Senior, can I have some tea? Night Sorrow picked up a cup of tea and looked at the tree spirit. The tree spirit shook its head. The virtuous emperor is really open-minded. If there's a problem, it'll be resolved. However, you don't look like you're damaged. Chapter 2245. The tree spirit waved her right hand, and a few images appeared in front of her. A moment later, it changed to the scene of Night Sorrow, Heavenly Concubine, and the Blackhorn dragon fighting. Tree spirit finished reading it seriously. I've been in a deep sleep all this time, so I don't know about these things. You fought beautifully, but the obsession in your heart is too strong. This is not what a virtuous emperor like you should do. Perhaps. I'm the realm lord of the 9 regions world, the human emperor of the celestial realm. If I can fight for the opportunity to protect the 100 regions world, I'll do my best. Unfortunately, things don't go as I wish. Night Sorrow smiled. He felt that he was stubborn, but not obsessed. Realm Lord, your cultivation isn't bad, but it hasn't reached the level of ruling, right? Yes, You said that it's a newborn world. Perhaps you can do it with your cultivation. The tree spirit nodded. No, I'm not ruling by force. I'm the realm lord recognized by the origins. Night Sorrow shook the clear sky pagoda, and a 9 regions origin pearl in the area where the soul-raising grass was returned to Night Sorrow's spirit sea. Then, it floated above his head and rotated once before entering the spirit sea again. Origin Realm Lord. You're a realm lord recognized by the world's origin. You're a realm lord that surpasses the great realm's origin. The tree spirit's voice was very surprised. Yes, the 9 regions world has only been formed for a few 100,000 years, but it's developing quite quickly. Night Sorrow smiled. The 9 regions origin pearl returned to the divine sea, and Night Sorrow's emotions became more stable. The newborn world has developed to this extent in just a few 100,000 years. This isn't because of the world itself, but because of you, the realm lord, the tree spirit said. Some of my seniors said the same thing. Night Sorrow nodded. I watched your battle. Your clone lost 20% of its essence blood, but it's not a big problem. In the origin realm, there's a cultivation technique called the infinite body forging. It cripples a part of the body and uses the crippled essence blood to replenish the body's vitality. Then, it uses a secret technique and resources to regenerate the severed limb. If this continues, the body will be filled with vitality. The tree spirit said, That's a good idea. It's worth researching, Night Sorrow said as he rubbed his head. Research. One could be unyielding if one has no desires. You have done well as a Myriad emperor. The tree spirit smiled because Night Sorrow didn't ask for it and wanted to research it himself. After drinking a cup of tea, Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands towards the tree spirit. Sorry for disturbing Senior's meditation. Ani Fei, heavenly concubine, let's go back. There's no rush, said the tree spirit. Senior, do you have any other instructions? Night Sorrow turned to the tree spirit. Sometimes, things can take a turn for the better. Perhaps you didn't come in vain. I don't have much time left, and I've been persisting because of my obsession. Because of the young world tree, my daughter is still in the womb and will be able to survive on her own soon. I've been looking for a suitable world for her. After listening to your description, I feel that your world is not bad. However, I still want to take a look at your world. I don't care what the current sovereign realm is like. I want to see the world where you are the realm master. The tree spirit said, The young world tree? You want to see the 9 regions world? Sigh. In fact, the place that needs the help of the world tree the most right now is the celestial realm. Night Sorrow said after a moment of surprise. He was very conflicted because he couldn't explain the situation to Tran Hung and King Yawu. I don't care so much. Do you think it's okay or not? Asked the tree spirit. All right. At this time, I don't care so much. It's not that I don't care about the celestial realm. Night Sorrow shook his head. While they were talking, a branch of the world tree floated down. The tree spirit flashed into the branch, and the branch landed in front of Night Sorrow. You can take this branch with you. Then, the tree spirit disappeared and entered the branch. Night Sorrow grabbed the branch. I can't carry it forever, right? Can you enter my spatial treasure? Night Sorrow asked. Of course, that's not a problem. You can't harm me even if you want to. Although I'm just a temporary doppelganger, I can mobilize my power. Destroying your Dharma treasure is a piece of cake for me. However, you can keep it for now. If it's inconvenient, you can put it into your spatial treasure. Although he had agreed, Tree Spirit still gave Night Sorrow a warning. Holding the branch of the world tree, Night Sorrow and the others left. Night Sorrow sighed as he said, We still have to waste some time. The Thousand Realms whirling defense is too strong. It took him a year to get here, but Night Sorrow felt that it would take him at least 3 months to return. I can make things easier for you. After the Tree Spirit finished speaking, a branch of the world tree appeared and extended downwards. Then, a space-time tunnel appeared. Although Night Sorrow was shocked, he understood that the Thousand Realms defense was the world tree's method. It was normal for it to be able to send the 3 of them out. After passing through the space-time tunnel, it took Night Sorrow and the others a moment to arrive outside the Thousand Realms whirling avatar. It was difficult to come here, but it was easy to come back. Let's go. Night Sorrow tightened his grip on the samsara halberd on his back. He held the branch of the world tree in his left hand and took a sip from the wine jar in his right. Without any opponents, Night Sorrow and the other two successfully returned to the entrance of the world of trees. After opening the seal, Night Sorrow brought Wu Lingfei and the heavenly concubine back to the ethereal dynasty. Let's go home, the tree spirit said. The spiritual chi here is quite dense, but the origin energy is weak. In other words, there is no world origin in this world. Yes, the origin world sovereign has already reincarnated. Night Sorrow nodded. Without stopping in the celestial realm, Night Sorrow and the other two entered the Nine Regions world through Xingyue City. This is the Nine Regions world, Night Sorrow said. Why? At this time, the Nine Regions origin body appeared. He felt a strong origin energy and left the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Greetings, World Sovereign. The tree spirit appeared on the branch. The World Tree. Greetings, World Sovereign. The Nine Regions origin body cupped his hands at the World Tree. Night Sorrow had the Nine Regions origin bead with him, but Night Sorrow didn't activate it. The Nine Regions origin bead had no consciousness. Night Sorrow explained the situation to the Nine Regions origin body. Come and take a look at the Nine Regions world. The World Sovereign will be satisfied because the Nine Regions world has a merit realm lord. The Nine Regions origin body said. After cupping her hands at the Nine Regions origin body, the World Tree's branch flew away. She wanted to take a look at the Nine Regions world herself. World Sovereign, if the World Tree settles down in our Nine Regions world, it should be a good thing for the Nine Regions world. Night Sorrow looked at the Nine Regions origin body and said, the World Tree's existence is most beneficial to the world origin. There is no danger of the origin energy being exhausted. It will break through the lifespan of the world itself. In other words, the world's level won't decrease or be destroyed. The Nine Regions origin body said to Night Sorrow. It depends on whether the World Tree is willing to stay or not. We can't force it, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2246. Don't worry, Universe Sovereign. I won't embarrass the Nine Regions world. The Nine Regions world's reputation isn't just mine, it's yours, and it's also the reputation of all living beings in the Nine Regions world. No matter what, we have to live with pride, Night Sorrow said. That's right. You can be at ease and do whatever you want. I approve of you. The living beings of the Nine Regions world approve of you. Whatever you do, whether it's right or wrong, even if it's bad, we'll all bear it together, said the Nine Regions origin body. Strength of character. This was one of the civilizations in the Nine Regions world. It was what Night Sorrow and Nine Regions origin body pursued. Thank you for supporting Night Sorrow, Universe Sovereign, Night Sorrow said. Although the world origin body had recognized him as its master, Night Sorrow still respected the world origin body very much. There's no need to be polite between us. You were the one who fixed the broken Nine Regions world. You were also the one who brought the Nine Regions world supreme attributes. To be fair, you created the Nine Regions world's present and future, so you have the right to be its master. Nine Regions origin body explained his thoughts. He was completely supportive of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow and the Nine Regions origin body then discussed the matter of cultivating soul-nurturing grass. Move a portion of it to the heaven-sealing hall. Also, leave some in your spatial treasure. When you're not cultivating in the heaven-sealing hall, leave some in your spatial treasure. It can provide you with energy to strengthen your soul. That's the most suitable arrangement, said the World Essence body. He was being considerate for Yishan's sake. Night Sorrow then moved half of the soul-nurturing grass to the sky-sealing palace. As for who is qualified to cultivate in the sky-sealing palace, and who is qualified to use the energy of the soul-nurturing grass, Night Sorrow and Nine Regions origin body had their own judgment. He knew who had contributed to the Nine Regions world. After talking for a while, Night Sorrow stopped the heavenly concubine, who wanted to continue cultivating. Night Sorrow took her and Wu Lingfei back to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow took the two women to see his family. He didn't want the heavenly concubine to feel like she had no family and friends. The Yi family naturally welcomed the heavenly concubine and Wu Ling concubine warmly. After living for so long, the heavenly concubine felt that her heart had become numb and lonely. Now that she was in the city in the sky, these negative feelings were diluted quite a bit. Qingyin, Xiaolei, the heavenly concubine, is one of the top experts in the entire celestial realm. You can ask her for advice when you're free. You won't find it troublesome, right? Night Sorrow asked as he sipped his tea. It's pointless for you to say that. Well, have I ever complained about trouble? But I will come here often in the future. I hope you don't find it troublesome. Heavenly concubine said with a smile. She knew that Night Sorrow wanted her life to be a little more colorful, which was why he made such an arrangement. Ani, heavenly concubine, in our family, mother and concubine usually have the final say. Yi Xiaolei said with a smile. You're such a shameless girl. You're telling me everything. Yang Lei laughed and scolded her. Night Sorrow, you've been working very hard outside. You've been very tired, and very difficult. But in reality, you're living a real life. You're living a life of flesh and blood. Your parents are healthy. Your wife is virtuous. Your children are happy. And you have both status and identity. What is this? This is a winner in life. Heavenly concubine said. She looked at Night Sorrow with envy. That's right. High-level cultivators are all lonely. Their loved ones have been taken away by time. They're still alive, but other than cultivation, they don't have any pursuits or joy. Lin Piaomiao said, That's true. There were once emperors and emperors who committed suicide because they had lived enough without any joy. They couldn't find a goal in life, and their Tao heart collapsed. Heavenly concubine said, That's quite scary. Yi Xiaolei stuck out her tongue. Everyone, cultivate well. When a family is together, there won't be such messy things. Night Sorrow said. 13. Eldest senior brother and senior sister Qianqian's marriage has been decided on the 6th of next month. Your 9 Realms doppelganger didn't come home, so we didn't tell you. Sikong Chuyu said. There's still half a month. Then I won't go anywhere in this half a month. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said. Gong Xian was going to get married. This was a big deal. In addition, he also had to wait for news about the World Tree. While the family banquet was being prepared, Night Sorrow, Papa Gu, his parents, and Heavenly Concubine were chatting. CT Head, MFA. Night Sorrow, if you don't work hard, you'll be safe in the 9 Realms world. Papa Gu said, That's right. Son, you're the Realm Master of the 9 Realms world. You have absolute control over the 9 Realms world. As long as you don't leave the 9 Realms world, no one can threaten you. Yu Qing said, Mother, what you say makes sense. However, there are 2 sides to every coin. If I didn't leave the 9 Realms world, I wouldn't have achieved what I have today. The 9 Realms world is still filled with danger. If cultivators from other realms attack, we won't be able to defend ourselves. Although it's dangerous to wander outside, I can improve myself faster. Night Sorrow said, Qing, don't worry about the child. He knows what he's doing. Yu Weo said. Yu Qing nodded. That's right. Your son is someone who can make the entire celestial realm tremble with a stomp of his feet. There are some things that he can handle himself. That's not right. What's wrong? You're all grown up now. Why are you being so self-righteous? Yu Qing glared at Night Sorrow. Mother, you're thinking too much. Your son wouldn't dare. Night Sorrow hurriedly apologized. Hee, Heavenly Concubine, I've made a fool of myself. Yu Qing smiled at the Heavenly Concubine. There's nothing to make a fool of. Actually, having parents educate and scold you is also a kind of happiness. Many people beg for it. The Heavenly Concubine smiled. The Yi family's banquet was very casual and lively. Everyone was talking and laughing. Yishan also asked some questions about the child and expressed his own views at the same time. Seeing this scene, the Heavenly Concubine's thoughts went back to 9 years ago. She only had this kind of life when she was just born. Heavenly Concubine, if you like, you can come over anytime. Our family is like this every day. Although we're all cultivators and don't need to eat, this is the feeling of home. Yu Qing said, Heavenly Concubine, you said you like the lake. Then find a place by the lake and build a mansion. Night Sorrow said, Andy, look, you're inviting me, but Night Sorrow is already chasing me away. The heavenly concubine smiled. Ah, heavenly concubine, look at what you're saying. I'm just being nice. Night Sorrow was stunned by the heavenly concubine's words. I know you're being nice. Actually, it's not that troublesome. Just build a residence on the protruding island east of the city in the sky. The heavenly concubine said. Chapter 22:47. Didn't you say I can choose as I wish? I'm just choosing a place to live. That island is still yours. You can plant whatever you want. I'll only help you take care of it. I won't take it for myself. The heavenly concubine smiled. All right, build a pavilion and hire a gardener. That's fine too. Night Sorrow said. These were all small matters to the Yi family and the heavenly concubine. In the next few days, Night Sorrow stayed in the city in the sky with his family. The heavenly concubine also stayed for a few days before going to Nine Region City. Night Sorrow stayed in the city in the sky for 9 days. The tree spirit of the world, Tree, came. She was brought here by the heavenly concubine after arriving at Nine Region City. Night Sorrow personally received her because it was related to the outcome. How is our Nine Regions world? Night Sorrow asked. A virtuous world. The Nine Regions world civilization is very high. Tree Spirit said, This is human civilization. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow didn't mention inviting the world tree to live in the Nine Regions world. In the words of the Nine Regions origin body, there was no need to put down his face to beg others. He couldn't lose the spirit of the Nine Regions people. Also, when he first met the tree spirit, Night Sorrow had already expressed his willingness. There was no need to say anything more. After a while, the tree spirit was silent for a while before speaking. Why don't you ask this sovereign about my plans? Actually, whether I ask or not, the tree spirit has already waited in your heart, right? Things are relative. Although the Nine Regions world, or rather, any world would want the world tree to live in, the tree spirit also needs to choose a suitable world. This is a win-win situation. After observing the Nine Regions world for 9 days, the tree spirit should have made a decision. Night Sorrow said, Yes, the Nine Regions world is very good. Not only is it a future sovereign world, but it's also a world of etiquette. This sovereign has decided to place my daughter in the Nine Regions world. Please take care of her. Tree Spirit didn't beat around the bush and directly stated her decision. Night Sorrow stood up and bowed to the Tree Spirit. Night Sorrow thanks the Tree Spirit on behalf of the billions of living beings in the Nine Regions world for your decision. You're too polite, Realm Lord Night. It's rare for Realm Lord Night to have such achievements in just 1,000 years. Most importantly, your character is excellent. I believe in you. The Tree Spirit said, Thank you for your praise, Tree Supreme. Night Sorrow will definitely take good care of Princess Tree, said Night Sorrow. Permanent 5M, free of charge, CN little g. Later, this sovereign will send her over. As for the place where she grows up, Realm Lord Yi can arrange it. The tree sovereign was also very polite. Supreme Tree, I would like to ask, is there any way to solve the crisis of the Celestial Realm? I really don't want to see the Celestial Realm destroyed. That would be a great catastrophe, said Night Sorrow with a sigh. Realm Lord Night is a pinnacle virtuous emperor and has a compassionate heart. This is very rare, but it's not impossible. This sovereign's daughter grows up in the Nine Regions world. When she grows up, the world's origin energy will seep into the void and bless the Celestial Realm. During this period, this sovereign will move to the Celestial Realm. What do you think, Realm Lord Night? The Tree Spirit said, Thank you, Supreme Tree. Night Sorrow exhaled. All right, you're welcome. Since you're taking care of my daughter, we're not outsiders. Also, this sovereign also hopes that you can rise. This is the limitless body tempering art. The tree spirit's branches slid on the ground and carved a manual. Yishang took out a pen and paper and wrote, Yishang thanks Sir Tree Supreme for your guidance. Sir Tree Supreme, do you need Yishang's help? Yes, but it's not a big problem. It's just a place to live. When we came, that city was pretty good. I'll take root there. You can arrange the specific details. Also, the existence of my daughter has to be kept a secret. She's still in her infancy and doesn't have much power to protect herself, said the tree spirit. All right, I have a special clone in the Nine Regions world. Its battle power is no different from the original body, but the restriction is that it can't leave the Nine Regions world. It's not a problem to protect Princess Tree as she grows up. The Nine Regions World Lord will also take care of her. Very good. Realm Lord Knight has prepared everything, said the tree spirit. Because I'm confident. If Supreme Tree wants to choose a place for Princess Tree, there's no place more suitable than the Nine Regions world, said Night Sorrow with a smile. After talking for a while, Night Sorrow sent the tree spirit away. After arriving at Xingyue City, Night Sorrow also talked to Qing Emperor and the others. He told Qing Emperor and the others that there was no need to stop the tree spirit from coming, and that they were to cooperate fully with Supreme Tree if it wanted to do anything. After that, Night Sorrow took the teleportation formation to Tianwang City. When Night Sorrow returned, the Tranhung immediately called for a meeting of the elders because everyone wanted to know what had happened. Almost all the elders were present. Everyone had been staying in Tianwang City recently. After everyone had arrived, Night Sorrow stood up and told them about the result of the trip. I'm sorry, the World Tree has to stay in Xingyue City and can't come to Tianwang City. It's not that Night Sorrow is selfish, it's the World Tree's intention, said Night Sorrow. Young City Lord, there's no need for you to apologize. It's a blessing for the World Tree to stay in the Celestial Realm. It's the same everywhere. If she wants to follow you to the Nine Regions world, everyone can only watch, said the Heavenly Astral King with a smile. It's good that everyone understands, said Night Sorrow. For this matter, we feel very apologetic that the young city lord had to personally charge and break through the enemy lines. Killing a Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator must have been a thrilling battle. If we could witness it with our own eyes, it would be a blessing, said the White Tiger King. That's because I'm fighting with others. My luck is better. Yishan smiled. Fei you didn't record it in a memory crystal ball? Huang Ling asked Wu Lingfei. This? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow. She had indeed recorded it, but she felt that it wasn't right to take it out without asking for Night Sorrow's opinion. Since Huang Ling had asked, she couldn't lie. Some cultivators disdained to do things that went against their conscience. I really recorded it. Let's take it out and show it to everyone. Is it convenient for you, young city lord? Huang Ling said excitedly and looked at Night Sorrow. This required Night Sorrow's approval. Let's take a look. It's nothing. The other person who participated in the battle is the guardian of our Nine Regions world. Night Sorrow said. He wanted to confirm the identity of the heavenly concubine first. This way, the others wouldn't say anything else and wouldn't ask about it easily. Huang Ling took the crystal ball that Wu Lingfei had recorded and watched it in the conference hall. Everyone fell silent after watching it. The battle was too intense and exciting. It was a battle of life and death. It's a combination of tactics and bravery. Patriarch Lin recorded 2 copies and sealed them in the Heavenly Desolate City and the Divine Capital City. Future generations must know about the deeds of the predecessors. After calming down, Tran Hung spoke. He knew that Night Sorrow had really gone all out and was very touched. Chapter 2248. It's just that my doppelganger's chi and blood were damaged, which affected my battle prowess. I just need to recuperate. Don't worry, Uncle. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, this bottle contains the blood essence of our blood Chelan race's ancestor. This is 1 drop. There's another drop in the ancestral hall. If 1 drop is not enough, I will go back and get more. Blood Chelan King pushed a jade bottle to Night Sorrow. This won't do. The blood essence of our blood Chelan race's ancestor is very important. Night Sorrow will think of other ways. Night Sorrow didn't take it. He heard Blood Chelan King say that it was in the ancestral hall. He knew that the blood essence of the Chelan race's ancestor was very precious. It would be a lie to say that it isn't precious, but using it on you will benefit the celestial realm. Blood-Chilling King pushed the bottle back to Night Sorrow. "Keep it," King Yawu said. Hearing King Yawu's words, Night Sorrow cupped his fists at Blood-Chilling King again and kept the jade bottle. "Night Sorrow, your thinking is wrong. You must think that your doppelganger's soul is fine after burning its blood essence. At most, you could just recultivate. But the original doppelganger is different from the original doppelganger. The original doppelganger has gone through battles and years of accumulation. Its battle prowess is real, which means that it has a foundation. But new doppelganger won't do. It will be lacking a lot. So, you have to protect your current doppelganger. It will also build a foundation for the future." King Yawu looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Yes, you are young. As your seniors, we have to check for you. You must listen to us." Tran Hung said, "Night Sorrow thanks the city lord, uncle, and seniors." Night Sorrow cupped his fists at the group. "If you want to say thanks, it should be us. You have a base, and it is very stable. If you stay in the 9-domain world, nothing can affect you. You have also insisted on working hard for the celestial realm. We are all grateful and grateful." The Golden Dragon King said, "Lord Golden Dragon King, you're too polite. You're treating me like an outsider," Night Sorrow said. The Golden Dragon King's words were true, but they were also a little harsh. Everyone chatted casually. Tran Hung and the others felt that there would be no war for the time being. Night Sorrow could go home and rest for a while. If anything happened, they would send someone to inform Night Sorrow. After telling the Demon King and Pu Luo about the Humanitarian League, Night Sorrow left the heavenly desolate city. He should rest. He hasn't been quiet since he arrived in the celestial realm, the Grand Elder said. He needs to rest. He also needs to settle down. He needs to calm down. Give him time. Even if it's just a little time, it will be enough for him to rise. Perhaps the next time we meet, it will be a different him, Tran Hung said. King Yawu and the others nodded. They all knew that Night Sorrow's shortcoming was that he didn't have enough time to cultivate. Night Sorrow returned to the 9-domain world. His clone entered the Clear Sky Pagoda and started to absorb the Kirin blood. After listening to the Heavenly Concubine and Tran Hung, Night Sorrow also understood the importance of the original clone. If he didn't have to give it up, it wouldn't affect his cultivation. However, the quality of the clone was different. While the clone cultivated, Night Sorrow's original body went to a quiet place. He successfully passed the Lightning Trial and broke through to the 5 Emperor Trial. After successfully breaking through, Night Sorrow felt that his entire body was filled with strength. After the breakthrough, he stabilized his cultivation in the time acceleration. Night Sorrow returned to the city in the sky because it was going to be Gong Xian's wedding soon. He definitely couldn't miss it. He always remembered this in his heart. Asterisk at most 2J, New Chapter 50, Section D, Kate Caret Plus. When Night Sorrow returned to the 9-domain world, the Heavenly Concubine appeared. You passed the Lightning Trial without a sound. 5 Emperor Trial. You're getting closer and closer to the high-level Emperor Trial. It's okay. Are you cultivating? If not, come with me to the city in the sky to rest. We'll go to the Medicine Valley together later. My senior brother's wedding is coming soon, Night Sorrow said to the Heavenly Concubine. I'll listen to your arrangements, the Heavenly Concubine said. The Heavenly Concubine said. She knew that Yishang wanted to take her there so that others could get to know her and her status in the 9 regions world. It was all for her own good. Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine returned to their home in the city in the sky. Annie Fei, Heavenly Concubine, things went smoothly. The Tree Supreme has decided to send her young daughter to the 9-domain world to live. She's going to Star Moon City herself, Night Sorrow said. Both worlds have world trees. This is a happy ending, Sikong Chiyu said with a smile. Not necessarily. The old world tree failed the god-destroying trial. She relied on her talent and the world origin power in her body to survive. However, there's a time limit. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't know how long the old world tree could live, but he knew it was only a time limit. How long exactly? Yang Lei asked anxiously. It won't be a short time. The Tree Supreme will persist until the young world tree grows up and can bring blessings to the celestial realm, Night Sorrow said. 13. If this operation succeeds, you'll be doing a great deed for the celestial realm and the billions of beings in the 9-domain world, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. The moment the tree spirit agreed, my power of virtue increased again. It reached a bottleneck, a limit. When Night Sorrow saw the tree spirit in the city in the sky, the heavenly Tao determined that Night Sorrow had done a great deed for the celestial realm. Therefore, a large amount of power of virtue was added to him, allowing his power of virtue to reach the pinnacle of the virtuous emperor realm. Wu Lingfei and the heavenly concubine also nodded. They also felt some changes in fate. Although it wasn't clear, they knew it was due to luck. Well done, son. There's nothing you can't do, Yu Qing said with a smile. Mother. Night Sorrow bowed to Yu Qing. The family sat together. Night Sorrow asked Yang Lei and Aoi how the gifts were. They had to be thick. They're ready. Don't worry, Aoi said with a smile. When I first arrived at Taishan Peak, Master didn't allow me to join the sect. It was eldest senior brother who guided me in my cultivation. Eldest senior brother used himself to teach me that I should be loyal to my friends. In addition, he also prepared 2 congratulatory gifts, Yishang said. Aoi and Yang Lei both nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow had almost become Gong Xian's disciple. They also knew that Night Sorrow and Gong Xian had a deep relationship. Prepare 2 more gifts. Night Sorrow, are you paying for me? The heavenly concubine said with a smile. Yes, and Ani Fei. Night Sorrow nodded. Then Ani Fei won't be polite with you. You're now the most powerful family in the 9-domain world, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Night Sorrow didn't refute because it was impossible to be humble. Chapter 2249. Night Sorrow, you've always been humble. Why aren't you humble now? The heavenly concubine smiled at Night Sorrow and asked, Newest 19 chapters Supra, and there's no point in being humble. Our family's treasures, alchemy, and blacksmithing materials are indeed of high quality. Night Sorrow shook his head. Let's not talk about other things. Just the materials for this defensive array are something that other factions can't provide. Wu Lingfei pointed at the Dark Ice Unicorn Tiger's shining body. After the arrangements were made, Yishan told them to call him when they set off. Then, he entered the secret cultivation room. He still needed to understand himself. After all, he had just advanced. In addition to the increase in his cultivation level, Night Sorrow's power of merit had increased a lot. He had reached the critical point of the deluxe Merit Emperor. If he had another breakthrough, he would become the unprecedented deluxe Merit Emperor. The increase in power of merit made Night Sorrow's deluxe Merit Tao body much stronger. After cultivating in seclusion for 2 days, Night Sorrow left with his family after being reminded by his family. The Medicine Valley area was very lively. Although it had experienced 2 big storms with Taishan Peak there, the Medicine Valley was the #1 sect in the 9 domains world. Its position was unshakable. Not to mention other things, the statue of Night Sorrow on Danding Cliff was enough to ensure the Medicine Valley's transcendent status. Medicine Valley's guest house was full except for the reserved rooms. The inns in Danding City were all full. Some people even stayed in Dongshan City, waiting for the Medicine Valley Master's big day. Night Sorrow brought his family, Wu Lingfei, and a heavenly concubine to Medicine Valley. They didn't go through the main entrance. Instead, they wrapped themselves in energy and arrived at Taishan Peak in 2 shuttles. Night Sorrow had just found his footing when July and Ning Yun appeared. The 2 immediately bowed. Uncle Master, if it's nothing serious, there's no need to be so formal. Let me introduce you. This is Heavenly Concubine, a friend of mine. In the future, you must treat her with respect. Night Sorrow helped July and Ning Yun up. Greetings, Grandmaster, Grandmaster's wives, Lord Golden Phoenix, Lord Heavenly Concubine. July and Ning Yun greeted the others. 13. Gong Xian and the others appeared. Gong Xian immediately gave Night Sorrow a hug. Greetings, eldest senior brother. Greetings, senior brothers. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and greeted the other senior brothers. Mo-chun and Guan, ye had also returned to the Medicine Valley in advance. 13. 8th senior brother missed you so much. He missed the days when you accompanied 8th senior brother to drink. This time, you must accompany 8th senior brother well. Sure, Tianlin came over and hugged Night Sorrow. Huh. I plan to stay here for a while and drink with senior brothers, Night Sorrow said with a laugh. Not only did Sure Tianlin miss the old days, but so did Night Sorrow. Eldest senior brother, has Master been staying at the main peak all this time? Yang Lei asked. She was the emperor, so she could discover Yang Yu's whereabouts with a sweep of her soul power. Yes, I was originally at the main peak too. After all, I had to deal with some matters in the Medicine Valley, so I had to show my attitude. Now that I'm getting married, Master asked me to prepare for my personal matters, Gong Xian said. I see. 8th senior brother, didn't you want to drink? Ask your disciples to prepare some food and wine. It's a must to have a big drink tonight, Yang Lei said to Sure Tianlin. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow brought his family to the bamboo forest peak. This time, Night Sorrow did not refuse guests. He already knew about the changes in the Medicine Valley, so there was no point in avoiding suspicion. The members of the Medicine Valley who knew Night Sorrow came to visit him one after another. Lin Jingyi also wanted to see Night Sorrow, but when she arrived at the Taishan Peak, she was persuaded to go back by Tang Qianqian, who was staying at the Taishan Peak. Tang Qianqian had a lot of interaction with Gong Xian, so she knew some things. She knew that Night Sorrow was disappointed in Lin Jingyi, so she did not want her to discuss Night Sorrow. These things could not be hidden from Night Sorrow and the others. Night Sorrow sighed. Even if Tang Qianqian did not stop him, he would have asked others to. He did not want to see Lin Jingyi. During Gong Xian's wedding, Night Sorrow showed up and presented a gift in public. The heavenly concubine and wooing concubine did the same. It was the same for the other forces in the 9 domains world. There were a few peaks in the Medicine Valley that did not have a good reputation, but Gong Xian's reputation was very high. Both the forces that should come and the forces that should not come all came, all for the sake of forming good karma. After Gong Xian's wedding, the heavenly concubine and wooing concubine left. Night Sorrow's children also went out to train. Night Sorrow and his wife stayed at the bamboo forest peak. This situation made the older generation of Medicine Valley very happy. Night Sorrow was back, and Night Sorrow was no longer upset about the past. The disciples of Medicine Valley who joined later were also very happy. Night Sorrow was the pride of Medicine Valley. He was the belief of the disciples of Medicine Valley and the goal of their hard work. Night Sorrow stayed at the bamboo forest peak and went into seclusion. There were no battles in the celestial realm, so he could cultivate in peace. He also had to seize the time because he did not know when the cultivators of the ancient world group would appear. Also, the Demon Wing clan was still watching. This time, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger went into seclusion. The doppelganger cultivated the Wuji physical conditioning art. It constantly broke its arms and used the essence blood of the arms to replenish the vital blood of the main parts of the body. Then, it used the blood of the black dragon and auspicious blood to regenerate the broken limbs. Then, it continued to advance. This was the essence of the Wuji physical conditioning art. The regenerated limbs were not weaker than before. Night Sorrow knew that the problem of his doppelganger's vital blood could be solved with the help of the Wuji physical conditioning art. When the doppelganger cultivated the Wuji physical conditioning art to replenish the lost vital blood, Night Sorrow had an idea. The Wuji physical conditioning art could replenish vital blood, so it could also be used for cultivation. If the original body cultivated it, then the strength of his body would increase, which would be very helpful for the improvement of his Myriad body. Thinking of this, Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. He knew that his painful journey was about to begin. In the past, cultivating the Myriad tome required him to strengthen his muscles and bones. Now, he had to be even more ruthless and cultivate his limbs directly. Night Sorrow refined some elixirs to replenish vital blood and took out the black dragon's essence blood. Then he broke his left arm and began cultivating the Wuji physical conditioning art. The pain was unbearable. Even if one's cultivation was shocking, the pain of a broken limb was unbearable. Moreover, it was broken by oneself. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, the celestial realm and the 9 domains world quietened down. Also, the matter of the world tree had been settled. The young world tree had been planted behind the heaven-sealing great hall of the 9 domains world. For safety, Night Sorrow had the 9 domains world's origin body watch over it and not allow anyone to get close. No one, including the Yi family, was allowed to get close. The tree spirit's original body had also arrived in the celestial realm. This caused a huge commotion. It was too shocking. The world tree itself was huge, covering the sky and the sun. In addition, the origin energy of the world was also very dense. It was impossible not to cause a commotion. Chapter 2250. Good work. It's their good fortune and ours to be able to find a world tree to settle in. It's hard to say who the celestial realm belongs to. If the celestial realm is doing well, we're happy to see it. Let's not care about anything else for the time being and continue to investigate. We must be cautious and not lose our men easily. It's not easy for our men to enter the celestial realm, Immortality said. He was on a good condition and still needed to recover. Immortality had suffered serious injuries last time. Not to mention his future, it would take a long time for him to recover his full combat strength. The main reason was that the resources he needed were not easy to find. The Heaven Wasteland domain had a long history, but 1,000 reincarnations ago, the Heaven Wasteland domain had gone downhill. After 1,000 reincarnations as a secondary supreme world, their resources were almost depleted. They were not as rich as the 100 races of the celestial realm. Without the strength and opportunity to attack, Immortality could only wait. He was not afraid because the Demon Imperial City was unbreakable. As long as the Demon Imperial City was not broken, the Demon Wings clan would not be destroyed. In the past 1,000 reincarnations, the Demon Wings clan had been through this. They would attack the celestial realm if they were strong and retreat to defend if they were weak. Now the Demon Wings clan was in the defensive phase because the celestial realm was too strong at this time. Tran Hung and King Yawu were both at the Soul Uniting Realm, the strongest realm before the Divine Tribulation. He and Mo Yutian could not defeat them. In addition, in the Middle Emperor Tribulation level competition, the 100 Kings tribe of the Demon Wings clan was also at a disadvantage compared to the 100 races of the Celestial Realm. The Demon Wings clan did not move, and the Ancient World's cultivators did not move either. The Celestial Realm stabilized. Night Sorrow stayed at the Bamboo Forest Peak. Yang Lei and Aoi were worried about their families, so they left first and returned to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow spent 4 years in seclusion this time. In the accelerated cultivation, he cultivated for more than 200 years. After his doppelganger completely recovered, he began to cultivate the reincarnation true dragon technique. His original body was constantly strengthening his body through the regeneration of broken limbs. In the past 200 years, Night Sorrow's body had been regenerated with the exception of his genitals. While constantly regenerating broken limbs and strengthening his body, every part of his body had been strengthened. His body had also been cultivated to the level of tribulation of 6 emperors, which had once again surpassed his soul realm. In 200 years, Night Sorrow's soul realm had naturally increased, approaching the middle stage of tribulation of 5 emperors. Night Sorrow knew that when the cultivation of the body surpassed the realm, the cultivation method of using strength to prove one's Tao would appear again, and the improvement of the realm would speed up. After ending his seclusion, Night Sorrow went to Gong Xian's residence on Taishan Peak and met with Gong Xian and Tang Qianqian. He was also here to say goodbye. He was about to leave. Gong Xian and the others did not force Night Sorrow to stay. They knew that it was not easy for Night Sorrow to stay in the Medicine Valley for 4 years. In addition, Night Sorrow still had a lot of things to do. After leaving the Taishian Peak, Night Sorrow met with Yu Yangyu again and drank 2 cups of tea with Yu Yangyu. These words had always been in Night Sorrow's heart. After leaving the Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow did not go home. Instead, he went directly to the heaven-sealing Great Hall to cultivate. He had a lot of things to cultivate. He entered the soul-nourishing palace in the heaven-sealing Great Hall, which was the palace where the soul-nourishing grass was grown. This time, Night Sorrow wanted to increase his cultivation level. While increasing the strength of his body, he also wanted to increase the strength of his soul. As for why he chose the heaven-sealing Great Hall, it was because the soul-nourishing grass there grew better than the ones in the clear sky pagoda. After all, the heaven-sealing Great Hall had more source energy. When the heavenly concubine discovered Night Sorrow's appearance and wanted to meet with Night Sorrow had already entered the heaven-sealing Great Hall. His body cultivation has reached the tribulation of the 6 emperors. Using his body cultivation to drive his cultivation level, he will increase his cultivation level rapidly. This is a true genius, a true demon. The heavenly concubine murmured softly. Then, the heavenly concubine smiled. She was glad that she was Night Sorrow's friend. This was because she was sure that going against Night Sorrow would not end well. Going against Night Sorrow would result in a tragic outcome. In the city in the sky, Yi Qingyan, Zhang Yi, and Aoi were chatting. Zhang Yi, you're still young. Also, the matters of the Yi clan are decided by your martial uncle. So, Ats looked at Zhang Yi and said, Ani, martial uncle won't be angry, right? Zhang Yi said softly. He was called over by Aoi today. No, I called you here today because I wanted to tell you that you don't have to be so secretive. You don't have to feel pressured. If you have any ideas, wait for your uncle master to come back and tell him. Aoi said with a smile. She was worried that Zhang Yi was young and worrying about things every day would affect his mental state. Hence, she called him over. Zhang Yi, don't worry. I'll tell my father when the time comes. Yi Qingyan said. She felt that, as a senior sister, she should help Zhang Yi. After all, Zhang Yi was still young. Senior sister, there's no need for that. My father and martial uncle are both responsible men. I, Zhang Yi, am the same. Zhang Yi said. Aoi smiled and nodded. She didn't say anything else. She was very satisfied with Zhang Yi's attitude. She knew that when a woman got married, the man's shoulders had to be strong and he had to be responsible. Right now, Zhang Yi was acting very responsible. Father is too much. Once he starts cultivating, he doesn't even want his wife and children anymore. Yi Qingyan muttered, You bastard girl. If your father didn't work hard, would the 9 regions world be so stable? If our family was stable, would you be able to live comfortably? Yang Lei entered the room. In the Yi clan, there was no distinction between the family, and the children were all educated the same. Scolding was normal. Auntie, Qingyan was just saying it casually. I'm not slandering father. Father is Qingyan's pride. Yi Qingyan said. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, and Mem, Ani understands you children. I know you're joking. However, you can say this at home, but you can't say it outside. People will think you're immature. Yang Lei said. Ani is right. Yi Qingyan nodded. Night Sorrow didn't come out of seclusion. Everything went according to plan. Time passed like this. In the 20th year since Night Sorrow entered the Heaven-Sealing Palace, Zhan Tan and Yi came to the 9 regions world. Lin Piaomiao received Zhan Tan. Sikong Chiyu came to the 9 regions world and shouted in front of the Heaven-Sealing Palace. Night Sorrow's 9 regions clone had come out of seclusion after receiving a message from the 9 regions origin body. His reincarnation, True Dragon Art, had been fully integrated, and he was studying its power. His original body was in the final stages of breaking through because he was about to enter the 5 Emperors' Tribulation. As long as he entered the 6 Emperors' Tribulation, Night Sorrow believed that even if he encountered the 9 Emperors' Tribulation, he would be able to defend himself. Chapter 2251. Night Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu returned to the city in the sky. Senior brother is here. Night Sorrow was very happy to see Jean Tan. Huh, I haven't seen you in a long time. Jean Tan smiled. Yes, we haven't met in a long time. We must have a good chat this time. Night Sorrow nodded. Jean Tan and Yi came to the city in the sky to see Night Sorrow and to see how their son was doing. While the Yi family was preparing dinner, Jean Tan and Yi met their son. They were very satisfied with their son's achievements. After hesitating for a while, Jean Yi sighed and told his parents that he liked Yi Qingyan. You bastard, you really know how to scheme. You even want to eat the grass beside your own nest. But your senior uncle's son is really outstanding. But I don't know what your senior uncle and auntie are thinking. What about your senior sister? Jean Tan asked. He knew that this matter was very serious. If it wasn't appropriate, it would hurt the relationship between brothers. Senior sister is fine with it. Auntie knows as well. I don't know what senior uncle thinks. Jean, he shook his head. Johnny, you can't speak of this matter so easily. This concerns the relationship between our families. You have to know that my relationship with junior brother is more important than anything else. Jean Tan said, I understand. I'll tell senior uncle later. As for what senior uncle decides, it won't affect your relationship with senior uncle. Johnny said. Jean Tan waved his hand. It's fine if I don't know. But now that I know, how can I pretend not to know? That's not what a man would do. Night Sorrow and his wives were chatting. Apoy mentioned Yi Qingyan's situation again. 6 senior sister, senior brother, and senior sister won't mention this matter so easily. They're worried that we won't be willing and will hurt our relationship. Call Qingyan over and ask her. If there's no problem, we'll find a suitable time to let her know. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said. Night Sorrow felt awkward with this arrangement, but it was a matter between a man and a woman. It wasn't appropriate for the woman to ask. It was like she couldn't get married. This was a matter of etiquette and also a daughter's face. If it was anything else, Night Sorrow could have told Jean Tamming. When women chatted, they would naturally talk about family matters. Aoi, Yang Lei, the 9th General, Jean Yi, and Qingyan were all casually mentioned to Yi. Yi naturally didn't have any objections, and the signal was sent over. What happened next was much easier. Qianan and Yi naturally understood what was going on. Junior brother, you've already taken care of things that you shouldn't care about. We've really caused trouble for him by sending the child over. Sandalwood felt a little guilty. He felt that he had caused trouble for Night Sorrow. We do owe junior brother too much. Gu Yi, you know our family situation, so you know what to do. Yi looked at her son and said with a heavy tone. She knew that the Jean family's current situation started with Night Sorrow's help. After the matter was settled, Sandalwood discussed the matter with Night Sorrow. He said that everything would be arranged by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow felt that Jean, he was still young. It would be better for the two of them to let nature take its course. When the child mentioned it, then he would take care of it. In addition, Sandalwood told Yishang that the Heaven Realm's 100 clans had fought with the Ancient World's cultivators several times at the entrance of the Ethereal Dynasty's Ancient World. They had blocked the Ancient World's cultivators from entering the Ancient World. However, the seal's effect wasn't good. Although the seal was strong, it couldn't stop the Ancient World cultivators from charging head-on. Junior brother, when are you going to fight? Sandalwood asked. I don't want to fight for now. If the situation is urgent, the City Lord's residents and the sect elders will inform me. Night Sorrow replied. He was still in the cultivation stage. He planned to break through the bottleneck of the tribulation of the 5 emperors and reach the tribulation of the 6 emperors first. All right, the God-slaying team hasn't fought for a while. Everyone is waiting for your return, Sandalwood said. Night Sorrow nodded. He was also worried about the God-slaying team. After Sandalwood and E left, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate in seclusion in the city in the sky. He had reached the bottleneck of his cultivation stage. He planned to stabilize it first before going for the tribulation. In the City Lord's residence of the Ethereal Dynasty, King Yawu and a group of people from the sect elders were present. The Ancient World cultivators were constantly charging. Tran Hung was in charge of the heavenly desolate city. King Yawu came over and Lu Qi went to the divine capital to take his place. The cultivators of the ancient world are endlessly trying to break through. Are we going to fight our way in? Emperor Tang asked. No, the ancient world has a long history. Not to mention the high-level cultivators. The middle-level cultivators are stronger than us. If we go in, we will be weak at the entrance. It will be troublesome if we are attacked. King Yawu shook his head and said, should we ask the young city lord to come back? The young city lord is better at war. Qin Xinjie expressed his opinion. Not for now. Knight Sorrow is the virtuous Myriad Emperor. He is a cultivator with 2 forbidden attributes. He needs time to improve. Don't disturb him now. When it's time to come out, he will come out. King Yawu shook his head. King Yawu also understood that he was better at individual battles. However, he felt that no one could be more meticulous than Knight Sorrow when it came to commanding a war. This was a talent. He and Tran Hung were more domineering and heroic than Knight Sorrow when it came to commanding a war. However, they were slightly lacking when it came to details. They could not win a war without losses, but Knight Sorrow could. Sect Elder Lin, what's the young city lord situation now? King Tianxing looked at Lin Piaomiao, who had not spoken. For the past 20 years, Knight Sorrow has been cultivating in seclusion. A few days ago, he showed up. However, as his wife, I could not see through his cultivation. I did not ask, Lin Piaomiao said. She was here with a clone. Her real body was in the city in the sky. Hee, your family is really something. Why didn't you ask about this? Qin Xinjie was really a little conflicted because this kind of thing would not happen in other families. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Yes, let him continue to cultivate. We will deal with these things. King Yawu directly ended the topic. He really did not want to give Knight Sorrow too much pressure. The sect elders all left. King Yawu did not move. He looked at Lin Piaomiao and said, Piaomiao, don't tell Knight Sorrow about this. His talent in commanding a war is high, but he still lacks the ability to protect himself when he encounters a top expert. Now, he needs time to improve his personal combat strength. When he can protect himself in front of any expert, then it will be time for him to come out. Thank you for your understanding, Martial Uncle. Lin Piaomiao cupped her hands at King Yawu. When no one was around, she would call King Yawu Martial Uncle like Knight Sorrow. Chapter 2252. It should be successful. He's not a stubborn person. If he reaches a bottleneck or is lost, he will come out, Lin Piaomiao said. As his wife, she knew Knight Sorrow very well. That's good, that's good. King Yawu nodded and left. He usually stayed at the entrance of the ancient world in the Misty Dynasty. Now that the elders were having a meeting, he came back to preside over it. After everyone left, Lin Piaomiao looked at Song Ning and said, what kind of world is this? There's no peace. Yeah, things are happening one after another. The Demon Wing clan is being suppressed, and the cultivators of the ancient world group appear again, Song Ning said. She was different from before. In the past, she didn't care about fighting. Now, she just wanted to live a good life with Wu Feng. Knight Sorrow was still cultivating in seclusion. He felt at ease. The giants of the celestial realm were suppressing the demon-winged clan. He just had to cultivate hard. As for the cultivators of the ancient world group, he felt that they were a hidden danger that couldn't be solved. No one knew what was going on inside the ancient world group. However, it was stable for now. Tran Hung and King Yawu could solve it. The seclusion this time wasn't long. It was less than 2 months in the real world. Time was accelerated for more than 9 years. Knight Sorrow reached a bottleneck in his cultivation and stabilized it. After coming out of seclusion, Knight Sorrow left the city in the sky and found a quiet place to trigger the lightning tribulation. In the distance, the heavenly concubine stood with her hands behind her back. Her residence beside the city in the sky had been built long ago. She had been cultivating here. Her cultivation level had reached the soul unification realm a year ago. The heavenly concubine used 50 years in the real world to cultivate the clone. Then, she used 3 years to cultivate to the soul unification realm. If you succeed, then the cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors in the 9 domains world won't be your match. You'll be as stable as Mount Tai, the heavenly concubine muttered to herself. Or look, translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Heavenly Concubine knew about Night Sorrow's situation. Based on the speed at which Night Sorrow took them to Medicine Valley, Heavenly Concubine knew that Night Sorrow's strength in 9 regions world was close to tribulation of 9 emperors. If Night Sorrow entered the tribulation of 6 emperors level, the Heavenly Concubine felt that in the 9 domains world, Soul Unity Realm cultivators wouldn't be able to suppress Night Sorrow. As the Thunder Tribulation descended, Night Sorrow relied on the energy in his body to withstand it. On one hand, he was transcending the tribulation, and on the other, he was using the Emperor Tribulation lightning to temper his body. Just like when he was in the Saint Realm and Saint King Realm, he was using the energy of the Thunder Tribulation to baptize his body and strengthen it. Heavenly Concubine's eyes twitched when she saw Night Sorrow take on the Lightning Tribulation. She couldn't even take on a 6 Emperor level Lightning Tribulation. Night Sorrow activated his virtuous Tao body to fight against the Lightning Tribulation. He used the lightning to baptize his body, making the energy in his flesh, blood, and meridians more solid. Bolts of lightning whizzed down, but Yishan stood where he was without moving. He just stood there and endured it. When the Lightning Tribulation was over, Yishan's surroundings were filled with bottomless black holes. Only the spot where he stood was like a stone pillar that supported the heavens. After transcending the Lightning Tribulation, Night Sorrow let out a long howl. Then he sat down cross-legged to stabilize his cultivation and realm. His body is already so strong at the mid-stage of the tribulation of 6 emperors. It's too terrifying, Heavenly Concubine muttered in a low voice. Heavenly Concubine originally thought that Night Sorrow would take 10 days to half a month to stabilize his cultivation. But in fact, Night Sorrow didn't even get up. He just sat there and cultivated. This made Heavenly Concubine a little puzzled. 3 months later, infinite energy appeared in Night Sorrow's body. The energy of life and death was constantly displayed. So it's the lightning energy that gave him enlightenment. If the infinite energy advances and enters the Emperor Tribulation, then the taboo attribute will be at the top level. Then, it will establish the foundation of an absolute powerhouse. Heavenly Concubine clenched her jade-like hands. She was very nervous. According to what she knew, the Demon Wing Ancestors' taboo attribute was only at the peak of the high level. If Night Sorrow's taboo attribute broke through to the top level, then he would surpass the Demon Wing clan and the ancestors of the Celestial Realm's 100 races. But in fact, Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine were a little helpless. Night Sorrow clearly felt the opportunity to break through, but he couldn't break through that layer of window paper. When Night Sorrow stood up, he naturally noticed Heavenly Concubine, who was guarding him in the distance. His body shook twice, and Night Sorrow went to Heavenly Concubine's side. "Thank you for guarding me. You're still so polite. You're invincible in the 9 zones world. Even if some small fry came to attack you during your tribulation, your merit power and origin power would be enough to suppress them. I have to congratulate you. You've passed the 6 Emperor Tribulation. One more step, and you'll pass the 7 Emperor Tribulation. I think you can go anywhere in the world then," Heavenly Concubine said. I can't go to the Demon Wing clan's Demon King City." Night Sorrow smiled. "That's true. You're going to be in a real bottleneck. Merit cultivation, taboo attribute level, mid-level Emperor Tribulation, and high-level Emperor Tribulation. These breakthroughs won't be easy." Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, "I don't think increasing my level will stop me, but breaking through my merit cultivation and infinity attribute requires an opportunity. It's hard to say when that opportunity will appear." Night Sorrow shook his head. He knew the soul level could be accumulated over time, but breaking through his merit cultivation and infinity attribute could not be measured by time. It required an opportunity. Your infinity attribute is almost there, right? Heavenly Concubine asked. Now that you ask this, I'm really confused. I can clearly feel the bottleneck. I even feel like I can break through in the next moment, but I can't break through the wall, Night Sorrow said. You can't break through the bottleneck. The bottleneck can't stop you. This is called the bottleneck. Actually, you have the ability to break through, but you don't have enough foundation. It's between breaking through and not breaking through. You feel like you're missing something. You don't need an epiphany at this stage. Slowly accumulating and settling down will allow you to break through. I'll wait for the next time to celebrate with you. After hearing Night Sorrow's feelings, Heavenly Concubine's heart shook. She knew that Night Sorrow's situation was not because he was stuck at a bottleneck. It was because he didn't have enough foundation and accumulation. If what you said is true, then the merit cultivation bottleneck can't stop me. What I did in the past has always affected the Celestial Realm's 100 races and the 9 zones world. As long as this influence exists, then the merit power will continue to increase. The continuous increase will eventually break through the bottleneck. This bottleneck is only limited by time. Night Sorrow smiled. Looking at your smile, I'm speechless and angry. How can you cultivate like this? We've worked so hard to cultivate for countless years. Heavenly Concubine stared at Night Sorrow and sized him up. You're making my hair stand on end. We'll go back and celebrate, Night Sorrow said. After returning to Sky City, Night Sorrow told his family that he had broken through and wanted to celebrate. The Yi family was very happy. Father, what level are you now? Yi Xiaolei looked at Night Sorrow and asked, What are you asking a child for? Focus on your cultivation, Yi Shan said with a smile. Chapter 2253. In the Yi family, Lin Piaomiao was in the middle stage of the tribulation of 3 emperors. Normally, she would be able to see Night Sorrow's cultivation. However, Night Sorrow had cultivated the leakless true body. Unless her cultivation was much higher than Night Sorrow's, she wouldn't be able to see through it. All right, I just passed the tribulation of 6 emperors, Night Sorrow said. Father, we know that you were able to withstand the tribulation of 9 emperors when you were in the tribulation of 4 emperors. Now, Yi Xiaoluo was shocked. They had all seen Wu Lingfei's recording of the battle between Night Sorrow, Heavenly Concubine, and the Black Horn Dragon. They knew Night Sorrow's strength. They didn't expect Night Sorrow to break through 2 levels in the past 20 years. What happened in the past doesn't count. There are many other external factors. Night Sorrow smiled. What didn't count in the past will count in the future. Yi Qingyan looked at Night Sorrow with admiration in her eyes. The Yi family's banquet was very lively. Moreover, it was a celebration for Night Sorrow. The whole family was very happy. After the banquet, Night Sorrow asked Lin Piaomiao about the situation in the Celestial Realm while drinking tea. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't plan to continue his seclusion, Lin Piaomiao told him about the current situation in the Celestial Realm. Very good. My cultivation rose too quickly, and I need to settle down. Battles are the best way to settle down. Sister Xianair, tell your clone in the Ethereal Dynasty to inform the First Army and the God-Slaying team to gather and wait for orders, Night Sorrow said as he swirled the teacup in his hand. All right, Lin Piaomiao nodded. Although she hoped that Night Sorrow would be safe, she also understood that battles were the path for Night Sorrow to rise. In addition, she also hoped that Night Sorrow could become all-powerful. Father, can I join the God-Slaying team? Yi Xiaoluo asked Night Sorrow. No, you can think of the reason yourself. Don't blame your father for being selfish. Night Sorrow turned and left. Little Luo, I've told you before. You can join any team in the world, but not the team under your father's command, Dechira said to his son. Xiaoluo knows, but I still have some extravagant hopes in my heart. Yi Xiaoluo shook his head. Everyone knew why Night Sorrow did not agree. Who was Yi Xiaoluo? As the young master of the 9 domains world, his status in the God-Slaying squad was naturally extraordinary. During the battle, no one would let anything happen to Yi Xiaoluo, so they had to take care of him. This would disrupt some of the battle plans, and if it was more serious, someone would die. Don't mention these things anymore. You brothers and sisters are incomparably important in your father's heart, but he won't let your uncles die for you. Lin Piamiao said. Yi Xiaoluo, Yi Yujun, and the others bowed. They understood their father's character. After returning to his residence, Knight Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. After drinking it, he shook his head and returned to the main hall. Father, Xiaoluo knows his mistake. I won't mention this again. I'm also willing to accept father's punishment. Seeing Knight Sorrow return, Yi Xiaoluo bowed and said, What punishment? After drinking a cup of tea, your father calmed down. I feel that my words to you were a bit harsh. It's right for you to have dreams and pursuits. You don't even want to borrow father's name, so naturally, you don't want to borrow your uncle's for anything. It's just that your way of thinking is different from mine. Knight Sorrow extended his hand to help Yi Xiaoluo up. Yi Xiaoluo turned around. His eyes were a bit sore, inexplicably sore. How about this? If you want to fight, follow me in the future. Don't mix with others. Knight Sorrow said, That's suitable. When the time comes, you will follow me. But remember, I will only care about you when you have half a foot in the gates of hell. Heavenly Concubine said. Yi Xiaoluo slammed his left hand into his right palm and cupped his fists towards Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine. Then, Knight Sorrow looked towards Zhang Yi and Yi Qingyan. I'm going to fight now. You guys decide your own matters. If you have any thoughts, tell Grandpa and Grandma. After giving some instructions, Yi Shang left. A father's love was like a mountain. Knight Sorrow's children fell silent. They knew that their matters, even if it was a small matter, were extremely important to Knight Sorrow. After resting for a night, Knight Sorrow set off. His battle doppelganger followed along. In a 9-domain world, his 9-domain doppelganger was enough. In a 9-domain world, his 9-domain doppelganger was invincible. Knight Sorrow asked Lin Piamiao and the rest to meet up with the others in Ethereal Imperial City. He went to the entrance of the Ancient World Group. Knight Sorrow. Seeing Knight Sorrow arrive, King Yawu, who was originally sitting cross-legged, stood up. Greetings, Uncle Master. Knight Sorrow bowed to King Yawu. 6th Emperor Tribulation Cultivation. Blood chi surged in your body like the tides of the sea. Impressive. King Yawu nodded as he sized up Knight Sorrow. I'm back. Uncle Master, please tell me what you need, Knight Sorrow said. Now that you're back, Uncle Master has a lot more confidence. Now, you can deal with some matters on your own. You can take on the truly important matters. King Yawu threw a futon to Knight Sorrow and let Knight Sorrow sit down. Knight Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine and drank with King Yawu at the entrance of the Ancient World Group. King Yawu was really happy because the Divine Capital had a successor. The two of them didn't talk about the big picture. They just drank. Knight Sorrow, take this. After drinking a jar of wine, King Yawu suddenly attacked Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow's body flashed as he used the Void Step to distance himself. Then, he raised his right hand and grabbed the Reincarnation Heavenly Halberd. Then, he added the Merit Dao domain to his body. At this time, King Yawu also attacked Knight Sorrow with his long spear. He did not hold back, nor could he hold back. Knight Sorrow activated his Merit Dao body. Forbidden energy burst forth as he battled King Yawu in midair. #. Without holding back, Knight Sorrow fought to the fullest. Reincarnation energy and primordial energy attacked. Primordial Destruction / and Reincarnation True Dragon Art alternated, blocking King Yawu's attack. At this time, Blood Kirin King, Golden Dragon King, Heavenly Astral King, and Huang Ling all arrived. They had received the news and came to see Knight Sorrow. When they arrived, they saw the battle in the sky. Very good. Knight Sorrow, you have succeeded. In the future, you could go anywhere in the world. King Yawu floated back and put away his divine spear. Thank you for showing mercy, Uncle Master. You didn't embarrass me, Knight Sorrow said as he put away the Reincarnation Heavenly Halberd. Uncle Master only used 65% of his battle strength, but you didn't use your battle clone either. Very good. King Yawu was very happy. Congratulations, young city lord. Blood Kirin King and the others cupped their hands at Knight Sorrow. They were extremely shocked. They were shocked not only because of Night Sorrow's battle strength, but also because of Night Sorrow's potential. Night Sorrow's cultivation was at the tribulation of 6 emperors. This meant that he had the strength to fight against the tribulation of 9 emperors. There was too much room for development. There was still 3 levels of room for improvement. He would be invincible in the world. Thank you, everyone. You have worked hard for the past few decades, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2254. That's right. Stability isn't achieved through defense. It's achieved through fighting. If those who have evil intentions are scared, who would dare to come? The celestial realm is our celestial realm. The foreign races, let's not talk about fighting their way in. They can't even have evil intentions. Let's start with the cultivators in the ancient world group first, then deal with the demon-winged clan, Night Sorrow said. Although his words were calm, they contained killing intent and boundless dominance. All right. King Yawu's shoulder-length hair fluttered. He admired Night Sorrow's dominance the most. It was the potential for great things. It was also the temperament of a king. Uncle, do you think it's right? Night Sorrow looked at King Yawu and asked. That's right. I also want to kill them, but I can't split myself. There's no one guarding this place when I go in. I'm worried about other people going in. Now that you're here, I have extra manpower, King Yawu said. After a discussion, Night Sorrow brought his people into the ancient world group. Bloodland King and Astral King followed. Uncle, I'll also bring the protectors of the 9 regions, Night Sorrow said to King Yawu. Uncle and Tran Hung can't say anything about her. You can make the arrangements, King Yawu said. King Yawu and Tran Hung knew about the heavenly concubine. They also knew that even if the heavenly concubine didn't hate them, she wouldn't give them any face. All right. Night Sorrow nodded and left on the teleportation formation that had already been set up. Bloodland King and Astral King decided to fight with Night Sorrow, so they waited there. The young city lord is so domineering, Astral King said. Domineering needs to be supported by strength. The young city lord is qualified, Bloodland King said emotionally. When he had first met Yishang was still very weak. But now, Yishang was incomparable. Not to mention Yishang's super strong fighting strength. Even his cultivation level had surpassed Bloodland King. The future of the Celestial Realm, the hope of the Celestial Realm, King Yawu said. The only obstacle is the God-destroying tribulation. Otherwise, the future would belong to the 100 races of the Celestial Realm. When he saw Night Sorrow, he saw the future of the 100 races of the Celestial Realm. However, he then recalled that Night Sorrow had already come into contact with the forbidden energy. In an era, the post-celestial Tao would release a tribulation, which was the God-destroying tribulation. The young city lord is already so powerful when he is only at the tribulation of the 6 emperors. Maybe he has a chance to pass the God-destroying tribulation. After all, he has many advantages that no one before him has, Blood Kirin King said. King Yawu nodded. He also felt that there was a lot of hope. Night Sorrow's lifespan was only about 1,100 years. An era was 100 billion years. After returning to the ethereal imperial city, Night Sorrow went to the Night Moon Villa. He saw the first leader and the god-slaying team assembled. Heavenly Concubine and Yishaluo were also there. Yishaluo was determined to participate in the battle. Brothers, I'm back. How have you been all these years? Night Sorrow looked at the god-slaying team and said, Very good, but because the leader is not here, we have been cultivating and cultivating. It's too boring, Long Jean said. Then you should be happy because I'm going to war. Night Sorrow turned to look at his brothers who had gone through life and death with him. Okay. Tianyu and the others nodded. Everyone was very excited because they all liked Days of Passion. Night Sorrow asked everyone to prepare. They would depart the next day. After all these years, many of his subordinates already had families. Night Sorrow wanted to give everyone some time to explain to their families. After sending everyone away, Night Sorrow sat in the main hall of the mansion. He brewed a pot of tea and pondered. What are you thinking about? Lin Piao sat beside Night Sorrow. Let's not talk about the first leader. Let's talk about the god-slaying team first. Many of them have families and children. Is it appropriate for me to bring everyone out to fight? Am I dragging everyone down with me? Night Sorrow said, You have your concerns, but everyone has their own thoughts and pursuits. Perhaps they love this kind of life, Lin Piao said. Yes, you are not everyone. How do you know what everyone is thinking? Yang Lei also came to the hall. Night Sorrow nodded. He felt that there was a need to talk to everyone, consider their feelings, and respect their choice. A day later, everyone returned. Without needing to be called, everyone gathered at the martial arts arena. Standing on the stage of the martial arts arena, Night Sorrow looked at all his brothers and shook his head. Today, I have something to say. You have been through life and death with me for many years. Back then, we were all young boys. But now it's different. Everyone has succeeded in cultivation, has children, and has a family business. So, it's no longer that carefree time. You should all have your own lives. 13th brother, what are you talking about? We are all brothers who have gone through life and death together. Naturally, we have to fight side by side. Qingjin stood out and said, That's right. In the past, we were able to fight. What can we do now? Ho Jian stood out. Yin Huang stood out. Liang Yu stood out. Everyone took a step forward. Chapter 8. Genuine First Release Sigh. You guys haven't grown up yet. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. We're still the same as before. Furthermore, we can rest assured that as long as one of our brothers is still alive, the family members of our god-slaying squad will be safe, and we will be able to live a good life, Lei Bao said with a smile. That's right. As long as one of us is alive, our families will be safe. This is the promise between us brothers and sisters. Night Sorrow nodded. In the 9-domain world, there was a city called Loyalty City. The city wasn't big and wasn't bustling. However, it was exceptionally peaceful. The people who lived here were the families of the god-slaying team. Loyalty City was built by Long Jin, Liang Yu, Lei Bao, and the others. Liang Yu, the most stable person, was the city lord. They didn't tell Night Sorrow, but Night Sorrow knew. He wanted to help set up a defensive formation. Brothers of the First Army, you guys haven't been with me for long, but I treat you guys the same as I treat them, Night Sorrow said to the soldiers of the First Army. Thank you, young city lord. The soldiers of the First Army bowed to Night Sorrow. After making things clear, Night Sorrow brought his people to the entrance of the ancient domain world. When Night Sorrow arrived, many people were already there. This was because everyone knew that this was a major event for the Celestial Realm. It was a foreign war. The Grand Elder came along with some elders. The Grand Elder crushed a soul crystal. Then, Tranhung's soul incarnation appeared in front of everyone. Greetings, City Lord. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in greeting to Tranhung. Chapter 2255. Both King Yawu and Tranhung were afraid of the Ancient World Group. This was also why King Yawu had sent a message to Tranhung and asked him to send his soul incarnation over. Okay, if it's not safe, I'll bring everyone back, Night Sorrow said. If the ancient world tree can exist, it means that it's deep and unpredictable. Be careful. If you can't handle it, retreat. Who would have thought that it's not so easy to behave atrociously in the celestial realm? Tranhung reminded him again. Then his soul incarnation dispersed. The Grand Elder took out a map that Tranhung had asked him to bring. This is the map that Tranhung asked me to bring. It contains some of his experience in exploring the Ancient World Group. Some of the situations are also recorded. Night Sorrow opened the map and looked at it. Then he slapped his head. There were hundreds of ancient worlds depicted on the map. Looking at the map, Night Sorrow knew that he had underestimated the situation. Don't feel pressured. Just take it as an experience. Take it as an adventure, King Yawu said. Under normal circumstances, King Yawu would be worried. However, when he saw the heavenly concubine in a white dress standing behind Night Sorrow, he felt more at ease. He also saw the heavenly concubine's realm. She was in the same realm as him. She was in the divine soul, uniting realm of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. She was in the strongest realm under the god, destroying tribulation. Then, Knight Sorrow led his men into the entrance of the ancient world group. Captain, I'll lead a team forward. Shall we coordinate with you? Long Jean asked. No, this time we won't split up. That's too dangerous. This ancient world group is different from the previous battles. In the past, we pursued the enemy's strength and efficiency. This time, we'll focus on exploring and understanding. Knight Sorrow shook his head. He didn't agree with Long Jin's suggestion. Long Jin nodded. Indeed, this time is different from the previous ones. Knight Sorrow led the team forward. When they encountered cultivators who took the initiative to attack or had hostile intent, they would kill them directly. The members of the God-slaying team with a lower cultivation base would attack, while the Blood-Shielan King and Heavenly Astral King, who were slightly stronger, would attack. Did you want to fight but never had the chance? Heavenly Concubine looked at Knight Sorrow, who was rubbing his fingers, and smiled. Everyone is too crazy. I don't even have the chance to make a move. Knight Sorrow smiled bitterly. Battles broke out from time to time, mainly because the ancient world's cultivators had a strong desire to attack Knight Sorrow and the others. They don't really fight with each other. Why would they kill us the moment they see us? Lin Piao Miao asked in confusion. It's very simple. Our souls are fundamentally different from theirs. Our souls are from the Supreme World and the future Supreme World. We have the aura of origin energy and the characteristics of life origin energy. This is extremely tempting to them. Refining our divine pearls will be of great help to them, said the Heavenly Concubine. I see. They see us as materials. Then we can only kill them. We can't let them enter the celestial realm. Hearing the Heavenly Concubine's explanation, Lin Piao Miao's expression changed. Fundamentally speaking, the ancient world's cultivators are more terrifying than the Demon Wing clan. The Demon Wing clan is fighting with us for the right to rule the celestial realm. It's for the space to live. If the ancient world's cultivators appear, it will be followed by a massacre, Knight Sorrow said. The Heavenly Concubine nodded. She agreed with Knight Sorrow's point of view. She was once the divine ancestor of the Demon Wing clan. Naturally, she knew that the Demon Wing clan occupied the celestial realm and ruled it. If the cultivators of the 100 races in the celestial realm submitted to them, they wouldn't kill them. However, the ancient world's cultivators were different. They treated other cultivators as materials. Essence blood, nascent soul pearls, and nascent soul pearls were all materials that they wanted. Don't care about that. If the foreign races are plotting against the celestial realm, we will kill them, said the Heavenly Astral King. What we lack is strength, said Knight Sorrow. With Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine in the team, there wasn't much pressure on them during the journey of battle and training. After a few battles, Knight Sorrow had a measure of his own strength. When his original body fought alone, it was slightly stronger than the tribulation of the 8 emperors. However, it was weaker than the tribulation of the 9 emperors. He would be suppressed by the tribulation of the 9 emperors, but he could protect himself. X#6, when his original body and avatar fought, they were comparable to the tribulation of the 9 emperors. However, they couldn't suppress them. Knight Sorrow's combat power shocked the Heavenly Concubine. The Blood-Shielan King and the others also understood that among the 100 races in the celestial realm, other than the 3 giants, Knight Sorrow was the strongest. However, this was only the current situation. After entering the group of ancient worlds for a year, Knight Sorrow's cultivation had truly stabilized. He had killed many of the tribulation of the 8 emperors. He and the Heavenly Concubine had killed 5 of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. He and the Heavenly Concubine had killed 2 of the Divine Soul Unity Realm experts. However, the price they paid was relatively high. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was injured. In order to block the danger for the God-slaying team, he took 2 attacks from the opponent. His body was penetrated by the opponent's sword. A full power sword attack from a Divine Soul Unity Realm expert wasn't simple. It injured Knight Sorrow's meridians. Knight Sorrow's original body was injured. The situation at that time didn't allow him to think too much. If the Divine Soul Unity Realm expert killed his way into the God-slaying team and the First Army, then the problem would be serious. There would be a lot of casualties. Looking at the wound on his chest that couldn't be healed due to the corrosion of energy, Night Sorrow released the Clear Sky Pagoda. His original body entered and started to heal while his avatar stood guard outside. The attack power of a Divine Soul Unity Realm expert is too strong. If we take it head-on, we'll be in trouble. Night Sorrow's avatar said. He knew that there was still a big gap between him and a top-notch expert. It was still possible for him to fight skillfully, but if he were to fight head-on, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. It was a fact that his realm was low and his true chi cultivation was inferior to the opponent. Brother Shur-san, it's our fault that you got injured, Qingjin said apologetically. Just now, when they were watching the battle, they were too excited and got too close to the front. As a result, the opponent attacked them. It's not a bad thing. It also made me understand myself. If I'm injured, I'll just heal myself. It's not a big deal. Night Sorrow patted Qingjin's shoulder and said. Qingjin nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow was comforting them. Because Night Sorrow was injured, the team stopped moving. Night Sorrow was the main force of the team. It was important for him to maintain his combat strength at peak condition. The team stopped moving and everyone cultivated to stabilize their cultivation. Night Sorrow wasn't the only one who used actual combat to stabilize his cultivation. The others did the same. A bunch of crazy brats. They're just like their captain. However, this is indeed the fastest way to improve. Blood Kieran King said. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow's back as he investigated the situation. Some thoughts appeared in her mind. She knew that the process of injury and recovery was the process of accumulating one's foundation. When one's foundation was enough, the bottleneck of the everlasting attribute would loosen, and the chances of breaking through would be much higher. Inside the Clear Sky Pagoda, Night Sorrow was using the everlasting body tempering art. He was constantly breaking off parts of his body to repair the damage to his main body. At the same time, he was also cultivating. Chapter 2256. The limitless body tempering art was a supreme art for recovering injuries. The body's limbs and main torso came from the same source. It was the most suitable way to replenish other parts of the body. However, the regeneration of broken limbs required a lot of resources. It wasn't something an ordinary person could afford. Luckily, Night Sorrow had accumulated a lot of resources and could afford it. In the real world, 3 days had passed. Night Sorrow had spent half a year in the accelerated healing process before his injuries were completely healed. Half a year wasn't a short time. However, it wasn't easy for Night Sorrow to recover from injuries of that level. It was normal for experts to take decades or even centuries to recover from injuries. Young City Lord, are you okay? Don't leave any old injuries. It's not good for your cultivation. Bloodland King looked at Night Sorrow, who had merged with his avatar. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Bloodland King. Thank you for your concern. I'm fine. I've fully recovered. That's good. That's amazing. It's only been 3 days. Bloodland King nodded at Night Sorrow. He was really impressed by Night Sorrow. He had seen with his own eyes the extent of Yi Shang's injuries. I cultivate my body, so I have a bigger advantage in this aspect. However, the ancient world's cultivators are really strong. Their forces are scattered all over the ancient world. They haven't found the entrance to the celestial realm. If they attack together, the celestial realm won't be able to stop them. Night Sorrow said. He was a little afraid. The ancient world's cultivators had been through countless years. Plus, they had a long cultivation heritage. Therefore, they were very strong. Yes, they have a lot of experts. However, they don't have a unified command. If they really work together and find the entrance to the celestial realm, it'll be a big problem. Astral King had the same worry as Night Sorrow. That's right. Therefore, we have to make a new plan. My idea is to use the connection between the ancient world and the celestial realm as the center. We have to clean up all sides and try our best to prevent that tunnel from being discovered. Knight Sorrow said. Yes, protecting the celestial realm is our goal, and protecting the spatial tunnel is the most effective way, Lin Piao said. Sister Xian'er, deploy the Heaven Wasteland Army and send other soldiers to Reincarnation Island. Gather the Heaven Wasteland Army of the 3rd Unified Heaven Wasteland Army and have them prepare for battle at the spatial passageway. If they have doppelgangers, scatter them near the spatial passageway. If other cultivators approach, report it immediately. Sister Xian, your clone will be stationed at the entrance of the spatial passageway. If anything happens, inform me immediately. Knight Sorrow said to Lin Piao. Lin Piao nodded and went to make arrangements. Reincarnation Island's defense wasn't that important. Reincarnation Island had been reborn for a long time, and the Nirvana Tide and Extinguishing Storm had returned to normal. The possibility of cultivators flying over was extremely low. After the arrangements were made, Knight Sorrow led his men and started to move. They didn't go deeper, but instead started to explore in an arc. He wanted to clear a space that protected the celestial realm's spatial passageway. The battle was still ongoing, but Knight Sorrow didn't have many opportunities to act. Cultivators above the 8 Emperors' tribulation wouldn't appear as they wished. Although there was no battle, Knight Sorrow still had some insights in his mind. However, improvement needed to be done step by step, and it wasn't easy to achieve. Heavenly Concubine, this is the cultivation technique for the leakless body. Take it and cultivate. After cultivating it, if your cultivation and battle strength are the same as your opponent, your body's energy consumption will be lower, and you will have the upper hand in terms of energy consumption. Knight Sorrow wrote a leakless body cultivation technique and handed it to the Heavenly Concubine. I've been coveting your leakless body for a long time and didn't know how to ask. Now I finally got it. The Heavenly Concubine said with a smile. What do you need? Just tell me. You still have to hide things in your heart. How boring. Knight Sorrow shook his head and said, I can't bring myself to do this. Oh right, you're suitable to cultivate the 1,000 Realms defensive body, but can you ask Tree Sovereign for it? If she doesn't give it to you, I'll give it to you. The Heavenly Concubine thought for a moment and said, I won't make things difficult for you. Knight Sorrow shook his head and went into the tent. /original VB version, why 29 shots. My life belongs to the 9 regions world. I don't care about favors. The Heavenly Concubine looked at Knight Sorrow's figure and muttered, You can't think like that. Knight Sorrow treats you as a friend. You're the protector of the 9 regions world. Everyone hopes that you can live happily. Lin Piao Meow said, I know that your Yi family is kind and generous. I was just joking with myself. Don't take it seriously. The Heavenly Concubine said. Lin Piao Meow nodded. She realized that the Heavenly Concubine's mentality was really good. She had such a huge setback, but it didn't affect her state of mind. Instead, she improved by leaps and bounds and cultivated to the soul unity realm. Knight Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. He drank it while thinking. He felt that things were troublesome. The cultivators of the Ancient World Group were too strong. They were much stronger than the cultivators of the Celestial Realm. After all, their foundation was different. Their cultivation heritage was too long and they lacked resources. However, they could still cultivate by plundering. What are you thinking about? Bloodlin King entered the tent. The cultivators of the Ancient World Group are too big of a threat to the Celestial Realm. When they see us, it's like they've seen prey. They're completely crazy. If we let them enter the Celestial Realm, it'll be a disaster. Knight Sorrow expressed his worries. That's right. They're a huge threat. We can't let them enter the Celestial Realm. Bloodlin King nodded. He wasn't confident either. That was why he came to Knight Sorrow's tent. We don't have a good plan now. We can only hide the entrance first. Then, we can slowly eliminate the threat of the Ancient World Group. Knight Sorrow thought for a while and said, That's the only way. But in fact, the Ancient World Group is too big. In this 1 year, how many ancient worlds have we discovered outside the map? It's a huge portion. Bloodland King said. The ancient world group isn't formed by the destruction of a single sovereign world. It should be an area formed by the destruction of multiple sovereign worlds. Their inheritances are also different. It won't be easy to deal with them. Yishang shook his head. Bloodland King didn't say anything. He knew that Night Sorrow had thought of the same problem. Let's fight. Let's focus on the ancient world group. As for the Demon Wing clan, they're not strong enough. They're not a big threat. Of course, with the Demon Imperial City, we won't be able to eliminate them no matter how hard we try. Night Sorrow said, it's okay if the Demon Wing clan stays put. If they jump around, want to be troublesome? Bloodland King smiled bitterly. He was worried. Chapter 2257. That's right. If there's a fight, let's fight. Who can say they can take the Celestial Realm? We can't take down the Demon Imperial City, but the Demon Wings clan can't take over the Celestial Realm either. Blood Kirin King's mind suddenly became clear. Blood Kirin King left. Night Sorrow sighed. If the Celestial Realm was ignited, it would be a terrible situation. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the Heavenly Concubine came to the tent. Night Sorrow got up and asked the Heavenly Concubine to sit down. Then, he poured a cup of tea for her. I heard what you said just now, but there are some things I need to tell you. If this is only a crisis in the Celestial Realm, I won't tell you because it's a threat to the Nine Regions world. The Heavenly Concubine sat down and said. Night Sorrow was stunned. He didn't know what could threaten the Nine Regions world because he thought the Nine Regions world was very safe. Then, the Heavenly Concubine told him about the Demon Wings clan's ancestor. The ancestor of the Demon Wings clan fought against the human sovereign in the last reincarnation. Actually, he wasn't defeated by the human sovereign. He was attacked by the god-destroying tribulation. In the end, his spirit sea was destroyed by both the human sovereign and the god-destroying tribulation. However, he didn't die completely. His body was taken back to the Demon Imperial City by the other experts of the Demon Wings clan. His spirit sea was empty, but his soul imprint was still in the reincarnation Heavenly Halberd. The reincarnation Heavenly Halberd was in the reincarnation space at the bottom of the Nirvana Ocean. The ancestor's soul couldn't return. Last time, when the Heavenly Concubine took his hair to the reincarnation island, his soul imprint in the reincarnation Heavenly Halberd went back to the Demon Imperial City. You're telling me this? Can the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan come back to life? Night Sorrow's face changed. This was too serious. It's possible. If he comes back to life, the consequences will be severe. His realm is higher than the soul unification realm. He should be a half-step divine emperor. The Heavenly Concubine said. Yishang slapped his forehead. When it rains, it pours. This news was really bad for him. It was like a bolt from the blue. Closing his eyes, Night Sorrow was thinking. The situation was too bad. Nobody knew how powerful a half-step divine emperor was or what kind of special abilities they had. Night Sorrow, I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't care about the Celestial Realm, but I'm worried about the Nine Regions world. The Demon Wings clan's main target is the new sovereign world, which is the Nine Regions world. If the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan awakens, the Nine Regions world will be in danger. Of course, cultivators who are stronger than you won't be able to enter the Nine Regions world, but nobody knows what a half-step divine emperor is capable of. His body has been circulating for many years, and there's no trace of death chi, said the Heavenly Concubine. I will do my best. Night Sorrow sighed. The Heavenly Concubine didn't say anything else. She knew that Night Sorrow knew what to do. He wouldn't be caught off guard in the future. She didn't tell anyone. Night Sorrow's attitude was the same as before. If he had to fight, he would fight. He didn't want to cause panic because it was meaningless to tell others. The Demon Imperial City couldn't be broken. If the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan wanted to awaken, nobody would be able to stop him. #forever, #forever, free reading novels. After fighting for another half a year, Night Sorrow's clone commanded the battle. His real body entered the Hao Tian Pagoda to cultivate. He wanted to improve himself through the battles. He wanted to break through the bottleneck as soon as possible. Any bottleneck would do. It would be a great leap in strength. Knight Sorrow's real body didn't fight. The heavenly concubine, Bloodline King, and Astral King knew that he was cultivating hard. Bottleneck, damn bottleneck. Heavenly Astral King watched as Knight Sorrow's doppelganger battled with the tribulation of 9 Emperor's cultivators and was injured again. He kicked a huge boulder into smithereens. He had been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time, but he couldn't break through. Calm down and settle down. Maybe you'll be able to break through. Bloodline King looked at Knight Sorrow and said to Astral King. He was the same as Astral King. They were both stuck at the bottleneck and hadn't made any progress for many years. Astral King let out a breath. He knew what Bloodline King said was reasonable. He just felt a little depressed. The younger generation was fighting in front of him, and he could only watch. He felt very uncomfortable. His real body was in seclusion, and his clone was injured. Knight Sorrow ordered the camp to be set up. He wanted to heal and recover. Others didn't know why Knight Sorrow was fighting so hard. He would rather have his clone get injured than fight. The only one who knew was the heavenly concubine. She knew that Knight Sorrow was under a lot of pressure because of her words and the existence of the Demon Wings clan's ancestor. In just a few days, Knight Sorrow's clone came out of seclusion. Everyone noticed that Knight Sorrow's aura had changed a little. It was steady and deep, and it also contained boundless battle intent and killing intent. His robe fluttered without wind. It wasn't energy, but it was caused by his aura and aura. Waving his arm, Knight Sorrow ordered the troops to set off again. The battle still had to continue. After setting up camp again, Heavenly Concubine came to Knight Sorrow's tent. Knight Sorrow, I regret telling you those things and giving you pressure. Some things have to be faced sooner or later. If I know in advance, I can be mentally prepared. Also, I'm very grateful to you. Knight Sorrow shook his head at Heavenly Concubine. Knight Sorrow knew that Heavenly Concubine was in a difficult position. She didn't want to harm the Demon Wings clan, but she also wanted to protect the 9 Regions world. It was a difficult choice, but Heavenly Concubine still chose to stand on the 9 Regions world side. There's no need to be so polite between us. I know who you are, and I hope that you know who I am as well. Heavenly Concubine looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Knight Sorrow smiled. I know who you are. Also, it's enough that I know you're my friend. In one sentence, I'll make everything clear. Living in the 9 Regions world might be the best choice in my life. Don't worry. No matter who it is, they won't be able to harm the 9 Regions world. Heavenly Concubine said. Knight Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine and gave one to Heavenly Concubine. He sighed and said, The world is full of changes. I don't quite understand what you're saying. Heavenly Concubine took a sip of wine and asked Knight Sorrow, Have you heard of the saying that if I'm the best commander, then the best strategist is Jun Xuanji? Knight Sorrow said, I've heard of it. Is it because of me that Jun Xuanji isn't willing to help you anymore? Heavenly Concubine asked in surprise. Knight Sorrow shook his head and said that there was a rift between him and Jun Xuanji. It would be difficult for them to return to how they were before. Heavenly Concubine didn't quite understand. She knew Knight Sorrow's character. Knight Sorrow wouldn't give up on anyone by his side for no reason. However, she had never heard of Jun Xuanji's misdeeds. There are some things that you don't need to know, but I can tell you that I, Knight Sorrow, am an indomitable spirit. I do things with a clear conscience. However, she's not here, but you are. The world is full of changes, and I know your abilities and talent. Knight Sorrow said. Chapter 2258. If you're talented, you must have a place to display it. Right now, you're in a dormant state because I'm not strong enough. I need you to stand behind me. It won't be like this in the future. Knight Sorrow said. Then what will it be like in the future? Heavenly Concubine raised her head and looked at Knight Sorrow. She followed Knight Sorrow's words and asked. She also wanted to know what the future would be like. In the future, let me think. Of course, you'll be all-powerful and dominate the world. In the past, you were very glorious in the Demon Wing clan. However, there was one thing that couldn't be denied. You were suppressed by the 100 races of the celestial realm. You couldn't fight whenever you wanted to. However, Heavenly Concubine of the 9 Regions world won't have that. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, "What you said is very exciting. It's very difficult to live without being suppressed." Heavenly Concubine smiled. "It's not difficult. Whoever suppresses us and makes us suppress them will kick them to death." Night Sorrow didn't hesitate this time and directly expressed his opinion. Others might say that it's bragging, but if you say it's not, then we'll wait for that day. Heavenly Concubine nodded at Night Sorrow. As a cultivator, everyone wanted to do as they pleased. However, it was very difficult to truly do as they pleased. In the world of cultivators, experts were everywhere. If one didn't have any scruples, it was very easy to cause trouble. In the worst case, one would be killed or even die. However, Night Sorrow didn't exist. Firstly, Night Sorrow had a very high reputation in the celestial realm. Secondly, he was the virtuous human emperor. Going against the human emperor? A cultivator who did not have a problem with their mental state would not do such a thing. Another thing was strength. Now that Night Sorrow's original body and avatar were fighting, the tribulation of 9 emperors' cultivators couldn't suppress them. When Night Sorrow entered the tribulation of 7 emperors, he would be similar to the divine soul unity realm. Even if he wasn't as strong, he would still have the ability to protect himself. Who would be able to suppress Night Sorrow? Night Sorrow was the realm master of the 9 Regions world, and Heavenly Concubine was the Heavenly Concubine of the 9 Regions world. Their honor and disgrace were one. Yong Gio 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 Gio. I'll have to trouble you for the time being, but if you have any thoughts or opinions, you can tell me. I trust you, Night Sorrow said. All right, your face is big. No one will object to what you approve. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, if Night Sorrow believed her, then no one would doubt her. She had known this for a long time. Is it okay for you to chat like this? You make it sound as if I rely on my face to make a living and travel the world. Yishang helplessly smiled after hearing this. Why not? Having a big face was a skill. Without ability and prestige, how could he have any face? Face is an evaluation of one's overall ability. Having a big face is a display of one's status and strength. With just a sentence, you can solve problems without fighting. That's the realm. Heavenly Concubine corrected Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled because what the Heavenly Concubine said made sense. Lord Heavenly Concubine is right. Relying on your face to make a living is the highest realm. Bloodlin King entered Night Sorrow's tent. Bloodlin King is here. Sit. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands. Heavenly Concubine also stood up and cupped her hand with Bloodlin King before sitting down. I'm here to tell Young City Lord that there's no need to worry about the spatial tunnel. The Chelan race, the Ice Phoenix race, and the elites of the Humanitarian League have all arrived. We didn't mobilize the people of Sky Desolate City, so there's no need to worry. Bloodlin King said, all right, although the Ancient World Group's cultivators might not discover the spatial tunnel, we have to be prepared. Also, we can't hide this from the Demon Wing race. Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian should know. However, it's hard to say if they'll dare to attack Sky Desolate City. With Tran Hung holding the fort, it's useless even if they come. Their subordinates will be suppressed by the Elders and Sky Desolate City's army. Night Sorrow said. He felt that the current arrangement was safe. If the ancestor of the Demon Wing race woke up, it would be a different matter. With the spatial tunnel stabilized, we have nothing to worry about. We can focus on dealing with things here. Bloodlin King explained the situation to Night Sorrow and left. Heavenly Concubine, there are some people in the celestial realm who know about your situation. However, no one looks down on you. My uncle and Tran Hung are very friendly. Night Sorrow looked at Heavenly Concubine and said, it's still the same as before. Their attitude is only good because of your face. As for looking down on me, they won't. I respect and admire Tran Hung and King Yawu. They don't respect and admire me, but at least they won't look down on me. Heavenly Concubine nodded. Experts respected each other. To be able to cultivate to soul unity, they had gone through a lot of hardships. They all needed respect. This was also respect for themselves. Heavenly Concubine chatted with Night Sorrow for a while. Then, she left Night Sorrow's tent. After resting for a night, the team moved forward again. Night Sorrow used the spatial tunnel as the center. He wanted to clear out an empty space. This way, he could do his best to prevent the spatial tunnel from being discovered. The battle was still going on. However, without a high-level Tribulation Emperor, Night Sorrow wouldn't do anything. This was also requested by Heavenly Astral King and Bloodline King. They were Tribulation 5 Emperors. They also needed to fight under pressure. During the battle, the members of the God-slaying team and the First Army fought very hard. After the battle, Heavenly Concubine would give some pointers to the members of the God-slaying team. It wasn't like this at first. After Heavenly Concubine gave Yi Xiaoluo a few pointers, the members of the God-slaying team would ask some questions. Heavenly Concubine wasn't stingy with the members of the 9-domain world. She would explain the problem she discovered. She was Soul Unity Realm. She had lived for a long time. She was experienced and had sharp eyes. Therefore, she could see everyone's strengths and weaknesses. She could give specific pointers. Slowly, it became a habit. After the battle, the members of the God-slaying team would ask Heavenly Concubine for pointers and comments. Night Sorrow knew that this was a good thing. It was the beginning of Heavenly Concubine's true integration into the 9-domain world. The members of the God-slaying team were the core of the 9-domain world. They were also a group of top cultivators. Just by giving pointers, the interaction between the two sides would be very harmonious. In this situation, the members of the First Army weren't happy. They also came to find Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was a bit conflicted. However, he couldn't say this to Heavenly Concubine. He knew that Heavenly Concubine's attitude towards the members of the Celestial Realm was different from the members of the 9-domain world. As if she knew Night Sorrow's difficulties, Heavenly Concubine didn't say anything to Night Sorrow. Heavenly Concubine would also tell a bit about the First Army situation. However, there was still special treatment. Heavenly Concubine didn't hesitate to teach some battle techniques to the members of the God-slaying team. However, she only gave pointers to the members of the First Army. This situation made Night Sorrow realize that it wasn't easy. Bloodline King and Heavenly Astral King expressed their gratitude to Heavenly Concubine. The members of the First Army didn't know about this, but the two of them did. They knew that this situation was already very rare. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.